Yeah, for sure. I imagine, again, we're going to see the same sort of style we normally get from NiP, the lurk coming out from Chihuahua. He's always just a pain. Like, you can't give up any space on the map because he's going to be lurking in behind. But as you said, it's going to be that early start, pressuring into mid. And the one thing that does worry me a little bit is obviously a lot of teams we've seen recently have moved away from having the double duelists. And one of those main reasons is because of players like Akukos, like Existence, who are going to have themselves a breach and will basically spend a lot of this game looking to try and set up Rhyme.
Oh, they're going to counter wall above this one. This is a really smart play. They know that because that wall's been down for so long, Heretics will have given up the majority of this A site control. When Niso on 100 HP after being healed up, he's going to go for the fight on the ramp, and he wins it right back up, not just to full, but to 150 health. This is strong. Rhyme was a little bit late getting to the party, so he's left to watch their flank, and they heard him. They know that he's here, and that's why Pora coming from behind picks up a free kill. It's all about focusing on the site, and all these players grouped up towards elbow. It's not the easiest of positions to hold. They're going to be overwhelmed, and JD does well to pick up 2, but with all 3 left to go, Chihuahua's got a tough task, and one that Pora quickly puts an end to. At his 1-0 as Heretics pick up the pistol.
Yeah, a really solid start from Heretics as well to get that one over the line, and a early breakdown almost, because you look at that sort of wall over, you expect NiP to maybe get a little bit more done here. Now, they do at least get themselves the plant Mitch, so something a little bit extra to maybe invest into this round, but chances are we're just going to see a few pistols. However, I watched back a few of the clips. I saw you cast a certain guy called, I think it's Chihuahua. And I remember him hitting a few sheriff shots that stole away around.
Oh, yeah. I mean, Chihuahua's been phenomenal. For these Cypher players, again, it's a role that sometimes can be overlooked, I think, in the grander scheme of things. You know, you'll look to your Reynas, to your Rays, but these players can do a lot of damage, and that's a strong start. One flash, a very aggressive push by Niso. He had to get a kill straight away so that he could dismiss, but he can't get it done. Pora on the ropes, able to pick up 1, but he certainly is on the ropes. They're overwhelming him with numbers now, grouping up all around, and a nice double peek to shut him down. All of a sudden, it's a 2 versus 3 with Kriya going down, but still so much control here for NiP. The low HP on these players could be a problem with Rhyme stuck up close, and I believe he was spotted as he crept into that corner. The pre-fire is there, and it's all down to JD. This man is capable with a sheriff in his hands, but it's not going to be an easy task. He creeps around. The timing is good, but they've cleared the site now. They must know that he's coming from this angle, and indeed it's being watched right now as he swings straight into the hands of Lowell, who's waiting. Oh, not able to get the defuse, so no point for his res.
Yeah, a decent attempt, again, like NiP getting themselves at least an afterplant, and it definitely got scary in some of the earlier rounds, but we're looking at players like Pora holding the line. I still don't understand how he's getting kills off the ropes, but hey, we'll take it, we'll move on, we'll forget that it ever happened. And now things do get a little bit dicey, because we normally play this one as more of a bonus round. We look at Heretics and go, okay, you're not necessarily going to have everything that you would desire in these sort of situations, but they've had to upgrade to a few rifles a little bit earlier on, and for NiP, if they can break them a bit early in this game, that'd be a great start to their attack.
100%. You know, 3 kills in a round like the previous one. Hell, you'll take that any day of the week. NiP are definitely the ones walking out with a smile on their face, but that's one way to start this off. Niso comes straight in with a bookie, shutting down the lurk towards the A side, and even gaining a little bit of free real estate now. You can see him pushing up all the way into their spawn.
Yeah, these are the sort of plays that, no offense, Rubino, but we ain't getting from you. These are the Niso plays, taking full control. The only worry is the wraparound, and if Akukos will check the flank, which it seems like they've had a good idea, I like it, though. They actually bait the orb. They try and fake it out. It doesn't work for Heretics, but the idea is a decent one. Now, they've still got to try and push back through. They need to check the closer angles, and it's not cleared. Nuki given a good opportunity and will take a couple of kills alongside of Over. It leaves Rhyme with a bit of time and 45 seconds to try and bring this back.
That's a real shame. Nuki in the corner, able to get so much done, and as it was looking like NiP would get their round on the board, capitalize on the damage done in the previous, now it all falls apart all too quickly. The satchel's going through. Actually, the little bit of impact, those boops can throw off your aim and just cause that bit of an extra distraction. And 3-0, absolute cleanup on that heaven play. And the most impressive thing really was the fact that when Avova rotates through, he throws out the paranoia, and that completely took up the attention of Akukos. Existence was sure that player was in heaven and didn't even think to check the close left in time.
Again, this leaves NiP in a bit of an awkward spot. Now, this is always the problem when you're on a map like Split and you're choosing the map. You have to start out on the attack. You have to try and get things rolling a little bit quicker. I think we've seen a few teams, for example, FPX prove that they can definitely do both, and I think that's why we are still seeing the breach, but this is a fast move once again. Looking to try and conquer mid control, but Nisao, he's just in the right place at the right time. You've heard of a rotational op? Well, he's a rotational fragger.
It works, especially when you're on that Rainy. You can make things work, switching up your position on the map and taking frags. What I have to say, when you look into the position currently of NiP, you don't expect a lot from them. They've only got a few pistols to play with. There's mostly no armor as well, so this should be a cleanup. Really, if they can grab themselves a couple of kills, we're going to look at this as a pretty positive round. But so far, they're burning utility and getting basically nothing forward, to the point that they have basically nothing to play with bar the weapons in their hands. And Chihuahua is a perfect replica of the previous Sheriff clip you just talked about, Tom. He comes into heaven, picks up a quick double, and that's it. And I'm here back into the round all of a sudden.
This man is truly unbelievable with that gun. I'm going to need some lessons, but luckily, once again, Nisao's in play.
30 seconds left.
Well, it's actually going to get cleared out. Ryan, he's going to hit a double. What is going on in this round, NiP? How is that the first round that you managed to win? Just pistols galore, even some frenzy frags coming back for us, and I'm going to be honest, Mitch, I had no belief in them taking that round, but they've proven me wrong.
I'm 100% with you, Tom. I mean, at this point, I'm saying, well, all they've got is their weapons, right? They can't really bridge the gap with any utility, and they come in, just start hitting heads. That play by Ryan down below, double with a frenzy. Oh my. That's one way for NiP to get on the board. They did it in style. And now after that, an eco win. The confidence has got to be high. But the other thing that's a bit of a problem here, Heretics have plenty of cash. They're not going to be forced down to an eco just yet and give away a free second round. They're going to make NiP fight for it with as close to a full buy as you can get.
Yeah, they did actually use the Empress in the last round, though, so they invested a lot for ultimately what was pistols. Now they're close to basically having the remainder of their ults. In fact, Nuki got one from getting shot in the head just now. The thing that I worry a little bit for Heretics is when you look back to the game versus Chakalaka, the one they actually lost on Split, it was actually the really fast, aggressive, loose plays that sort of caught them off guard. Now, arguably that could have been that Rubino was not really fit for his role on Sage, but it's still a bit of an uncomfortable prospect when we know a player like Existence is someone who will look to pace change regularly in this match.
Oh, 100%. And once you smell that blood, see the weakness, that's where things get a little bit dicey. Now, towards the A side, there's been a res. Heretics now know that, or sorry, NiP now know that there's at least two players there, and you'll presume Niso is there as well, right? A lot of information to play with, so it's no wonder they're playing so heavily towards the B side, rushing out as Avova capitalizes on this push, tears it to shreds, but Akukos does well to pull it back. Here comes the showstopper from Nukie, followed a showstopper to push him back and make sure they can't get anything for that ultimate. Players still dwindling on the NiP side, leaving just Existence. He's got it all to do, and with Niso taking him out with a quick headshot, the round again falls into Team Heretics' hands.
Yeah, they invested a lot into that round, and ultimately it just came down to almost battle of the ultimates. We saw Rez's coming in, still one saved and available for JD, but it's worth it for Heretics. This was a crunch round. You've put the pressure right back onto NiP, only one on the board at the moment, and now we have to see how they're going to switch things up, because other than what was a crazy pistol round, they haven't managed to achieve too much, which, as said, when you're picking an attacking side, or you're picking into a map you know you're on the attacking side, you need to at least put up some numbers, because Heretics just have the sheer firepower that we know they're going to get a few rounds.
100%. Yeah, you're not expecting a very weak defense, but for NiP, I mean, the game's only starting, right? Niso gets it on the rope and bails out. Korea's got to be upset with that one. And the res, we saw it in the previous round from Heretics. Here it comes from NiP. They're going to look to continue this aggression towards the rope room, but Niso, he says, take your advantage back, as he's taking it right back into his hands. This is unbelievable. NiP just being torn to shreds. They've committed already to this round, and they have a showstopper as well. We'll see if they're going to commit that as they push towards this B site, but 3 players from Heretics are currently waiting for them.
This is a really good setup. They've got the pincer hold back towards rope, so if they try to rotate quickly in towards A, there'll be players waiting, and then they have a stack ready. They've also got aggressive with Avova. They have so much map control, so much information, And it seems like NiP in this round are just stuck in a corner. They're going to need something pretty impressive to get out of this one. They've also got to try and get past the trip, which will probably give even more info. Not, as said, that it's really necessary at this stage. Korea, well, he at least spots out that there's a player close, but with 25 seconds left, they don't have a choice. They've got to go in that direction.
They do, and they run right into Pora. Straight away a kill onto Rhyme, and JD does this best, but one kill's all they can muster. NiP really struggling to get onto this board, and even trying to find some presence, some foothold on the round to push from. Seems to be impossible for this team. You see them stuck in middle, ping-ponging back and forth between these positions to try and determine which was the easier site to hit, and it seemed no matter where they went, Heretics were ready.
Yeah, I think as well, the fact that they're being a little bit slower in their defaults in comparison, as said, to what we saw with Chakalaka, it's allowing Heretics to get an awful lot of space. And as said, by the point it was in a 3v5, they had main control, they had mid control, like there was not really anything that NiP had in their favor. Again, we're going to see Pora now, a switch up of setups, a move of him over to this B site, and he's going to spot at least a couple of players. And this is something that NiP need to do. They need to basically reclaim the map from the aggressive Heretics players.
You know, the last time, or the only time we've seen NiP pick up that round was with the pistols. Pora on the rope here, spots out one right away. They're going to commit utility, cages, flashes to keep these players back and regain a foothold on the site. Heretics are now treating these sheriffs with a severe amount of respect. You can see towards the rope room, actually, a bit of a fight gonna come through as Nukie, he's in threat, or under threat, I should say. Rhymes already taken down Pora. That might open up an opportunity. You know, an aggressive push into B main, I don't know, versus these sheriffs, they thought it was a full rotate to A. Now they've lost a weapon for that information, and this could become a very, very costly round.
Gonna try an entry as well with the showstopper. Rhyme not really spotting anything out, and well, he doesn't want to kill off Chihuahua, who's managed to find another with the pistol. Lao somewhat isolated, but it's Avova. He's actually gonna go peeking in. They time it perfectly, and Avova's just domed two players as he re-entries the site. At least there'll be one back for Akukos, but he's getting flanked. The timing won't work for him. And again, Heretics, it starts off a little bit poorly versus these pistols, but they just have the star power to bring it back.
Yeah, again and again, we are seeing this from Heretics. Now 6 on the board, denying the eco round that previously caused them a little bit of bother. And to be honest, like, the approach, I don't mind too much. In the moment, you can say, oh, you're pushing against pistols, you're taking that control, it's a bit silly, but they made some heavy presence on B, they backed off, and Pora sensed that there was space there and didn't want the weak A setup, which was 2 players with so many angles to watch, to be caught off guard. I think we can accept that decision-making, and they recovered it perfectly. For NiP, Eco's behind them. Now it's time to get that win on the board. There's even a pause coming through, which I presume is from NiP at this point. I don't think Heretics have too many holes in the ship to plug on up. And it's no surprise, Tom, that they're taking the pause now, considering this is another full buy for them and potentially 8 rounds for Heretics if they find this, as NiP would be forced onto an eco again.
Yeah, we're in a bit of a weird situation. We've actually got no ultimates online. It's not something you can say too often, especially once you get past the first couple of rounds. I really want to see a pace change from NiP. As I said, that's what Heretics struggled with a little bit in prior matches. And at the moment, they just seem to be giving Nisao the opportunity to work these rotations and be in the right place at the right time. In terms of entry stats, he's been unbelievable. And again, there's the chance, there's the dismiss. He's out of there. Opener, easy, done.
It's almost like having a jet up in mid, because this guy only hits headshots and he doesn't need a dash. If he gets a kill, it's the dismiss. It's so well utilized by Heretics to grab those opening kills and harass any map control that NiP want to go for, whether it's towards the A side or ropes. It seems like Niso is always a worry that you have to have. And another worry is this push on B. Rhyme's being spotted now, so he can't even properly contest it. They will fall back for the most part, a smoke down to try and keep him suppressed. And as Nuke walks out, he just took Rhyme out off screen. That's an easy kill. And with that, advantages continue to stack up in the hands of Heretics. The only hope here is Chihuahua, right? That spike is down in mid. It's about to be spotted, but maybe Chihuahua can catch them off guard. But I think he's actually doing more harm. The info he's getting is players towards B main, a free kill onto Avova, but the fact that he was looking away from Chihuahua should give away the flank, but the ultimate just makes sure of it.
Yeah, this is actually looking like it might come back to bite Heretics. Nuki's still coming in on the flank, but they've given up B. It was looking like a perfect round for them, and instead, it's right back into a close situation. The res is massive, but Nuki almost falls asleep a little bit, and now just 2 players remain. It's aceu's throwing in the ult to try and hold on, and JD 1v4.
Not an easy situation for JD. He's stuck in a corner, can't get out. The wall he put down blocks him into position. Obviously, he wanted some teammates to fight with him, but they were picked apart all too quickly. And for Team Heretics, it is 7 on the board. Even with the plant and the kills that they found, remember, a res was forced out of Heretics in this round. NiP are still going to be in a pretty tough spot. You know, buying into this round would leave them in a pretty bad economy position for some of their utility, but the good thing is they didn't use too much in the previous round, so they've still got quite a lot, and it looks like they will go for the full investment.
This is normally the map as well, where we see Rhyme, like, basically, I want to say let off his leash a little bit. Like, we know that on other maps he moves into more of a Sova role, and he can definitely play that aggressor for his side with the help of aceu's on that breach, but we haven't really witnessed it thus far. A lot of it's been centered around mid. As said, so far we've seen Nisal basically dominate in any situation that has occurred. And I am really starting to worry for them because, again, we're looking at these sort of slower defaults. It's like they're trying to wait for the aggression, but it's almost like Heretics are like, you can wait, but you're still going to get headshotted.
It doesn't matter what time's on the clock, we're still going to hit those headies. This is a bit of a risky position for Nisal, and he doesn't manage to hit the dismiss. Caught off guard as JD trades him, and that's a valuable kill. No res in sight, so Niso is out of the round, but so is Rhyme, trying to aggress into B main control, but Nuke again wins that control. He's able to push this side of the map now 2 rounds in a row and completely deny life from the enemy raise. With that, NiP have to recover into it, and the man advantages just keep on falling away with that damage done to JD.
Nuki's on an absolute tear as well. Like, we've been highlighting Niso so often just because he's been getting those picks, but I almost want to talk about if this has been some sort of counter, but I feel like we're about to walk into another pick. Pora re-aggresses but spots both players, and again, the setup looks great for Heretics.
Nuke down below. He's racking up kills in this round, but only gets the one on that push. Leaves Existence with a chance, with an opportunity to pull this one off, and he's going to go straight down for the fake, hoping to bait Avova into the open, but as he emerges from the smoke, Avova is quick to eliminate him, shutting it down and putting 8 on the board. Heretics, they just keep clocking up these rounds, and NiP's attack, it's looking abysmal.
See, I want to ask you a question, Mitch, because I know where I expect Chihuahua to be on this map, but I want to know if you feel the same, because I feel like he's always outside A, right?
Okay.
So, have you noticed that every single piece of aggression has been through mid or B? It's almost like they're trying to just set up at a point where they go, okay, they have a lurker here, they're challenging for mid, does that leave space over on towards B? And every round, almost every round, we've seen someone aggress on this angle, and there's been little to no denial other than when they pushed all the way through into mid. That was the only round they got caught for it.
It's not...
So I feel like Heretics just have a really solid read.
Absolutely, yeah. NiP not reacting to the map control. They'll get the information for sure this time, but Chihuahua, I mean, we talk about Chihuahua being towards A, we talk about the utility, and I'm even thinking, it could be anybody. It could be a breach here, just to pop a flash and get that map control before they decay towards mid and A. But instead, Chihuahua, well, he picks it up with nothing but a sheriff. Easy kill. Existence about to take a fight and dropped for it. Niso again able to take that kill and the information. This guy was alone. He pops a flash out to continue pushing and gain the mid control, but it might be too late. NiP stampeding towards this A site.
Yeah, this is one of the first times I think we've actually seen Heretics get the read wrong. They had the majority of their players stacked towards mid and B based off the spot that they had early. They lost a frag in that direction, and now it comes down to a straight-up retake. This is where we should see NiP look comfortable, but again, Nisal brings them back into the round, and it's the showstopper throw now. It's not going to connect, though. It leaves just one man standing. LOL versus 2.
2 to go, yeah. It's going to be... Again, a situation for Lowell where he has to make these big plays we know him for. We've seen him in the past, and with 8 rounds on the board, you know, there's only been 1 slip-up so far. Let's see if he can cement a 9th for Heretics, and no, Rhyme shuts him down. NiP get their second on the board at long last, breaking the 5-round win streak that Heretics have put on the board, and winning the first round where they don't have pure pistols in their hands.
They still had one.
They had one. Which got the opening?
They have one, and it got the opener. I honestly wonder if Chihuahua... Like, the thing is, we know that he can rifle to an insane level as well, especially when it gets to the defense, so I wouldn't be too worried there. But I almost wonder if just on the attack, he should just be consistently using a Sheriff, because his entry stats on a Sheriff, I reckon, are higher than anyone else. Is this the pace change I was looking for, though? Look how quickly NiP tried to entry into this site.
And that's Niso down. Such a valuable kill straight off the bat. The double peek is there. Trades going NiP's way. This is looking much better. The res, the boom bot, they're getting control of heaven, whether Heretics want to give it up or not. Pora has to fall back, and now all they've got to rely on is this flank. There's a tripwire in place to spot it and stop it. So it will be a tough one for Nuke to really capitalize on, but hold on, Breach is walking back. Akuko's down, they haven't even got the sight yet, and the flank, Nuke is really on fire right now. He's looking unstoppable. That satchel puts a stop for a second out wide into Chihuahua as he gets eventually eliminated from the round. But a 2v3, a good pullback by Nuke, if a little bit over-aggressive.
They've gambled on B. I don't know if they saw the players going back, and after getting the kill onto Nuki, they decided that there was a chance it was going in the other direction. But yeah, Heretics have fallen all the way back to the B site. And sure, they've had a very good streak of rounds, but I do wonder if they're going to have the time to even go for anything here. Even looking at where the Sage Wall currently sits, it's going to make things very awkward for Pora to try and get through here subtly. In fact, he's just going to have to try and spam through, and his teammate is already gone.
That wall, oh no. It was breaking slowly with the knife, but Rhyme speeds up the process a little bit. There is a third round, and you know what, Tom? This could end up being an okay half for NiP. If they can pick up this final round and put 4 on the board, it's definitely possible. This was a bit of a head-scratcher, though. They've got no control on the site. They got the opening kill in heaven, and they slow everything down, running back and looking at the spawn, not even conscious of that potential flank from ropes.
Yeah, for NiP especially, it's like, I like the idea, I like the plan, and it worked this time. I think the change in pace is massive. As said, it was something Heretics struggled with before. But at the same time, they're still making like mistakes I wouldn't expect them to make. And in fact, a lot of the time, it has been Akuko's getting caught out. We saw the same in mid a round ago, where he's just left in no man's land as a peak comes in. It might just be the aggression of Heretics, which maybe they didn't expect. Nisal! Oh, the Bucky's back in town, Mitch. It never really left, did it?
No, it didn't, but Nisal, he's been in ropes a couple of times now, causing this damage. Here's Rolling Thunder into a push. Akuko's caught with the flash in hand. A slow goes down to keep them back, but it might cause some damage. That nade lighting up Chihuahua and taking him down. There goes the showstopper. Nothing capitalized, and look at that. Ooh. They walk past each other in the smoke. Ships in the night, but Lao's got a torpedo, shutting down Rhyme. Nuke with another, and a 4v1 in play. JD already low HP and quickly dispatched to put 9 on the board for Heretics, picking up that final round. It's insult to injury. And as you said, Tom, on the attack, you can only imagine that Heretics will be able to pick up a couple of rounds with the way they're playing, certainly with Niso and Nuke showing up the way they are.
Yeah, this looks like a pistol or bust situation for NiP. Like, if you're not getting the pistol in the conversion round, which, to be honest, from what we see this map, even the conversion round might be tough. But I think they're just down and out of their own choice as well. Like, this is the map that they took it to. This is the map that Heretics really haven't played too much over the last couple of months. In fact, I think this is the first map they played with this 5, which is kind of ridiculous. Like, we've seen them consistently switch it up with Rubino, like, coming in, or the first, I guess, this year. So it's definitely going to be interesting. Obviously, Rubino stood in as well when they played previously on Sage. But it looks so strong for them here, and the level of aggression they showed was absolutely ridiculous. Now we're going to see the same sort of style. An aggressive take for mid, a lurk left this time from Nuki, and maybe a bit of a bait and switch as JD is going to try and take the shot.
Going to see Heretics getting control over the rope room before then proceeding into heaven, but they're a little bit scattered on that fight. beautiful paranoia. JD not able to convert with his teammate or trade it off, and so the man advantage sits to Heretics. Poor has already got the B site with Nuke. Now it's just about getting the spike down there, and wisely, they decide to rotate it through B main, the control that they know that they have, rather than potentially have that spike dropped in heaven. They cross it over, nothing to help it on the way. The wall is gone, and so they've got to just take fights on the crossover. They've got to contest it, and they're doing exactly that. Smoke goes down eventually. Here comes the spike plant, and it's all left onto JD. A 1v4 in the pistol. It starts off well with one. Heal back to 100 HP, and two of these players are low. This is definitely doable for JD.
Yeah, rough position, though, to try and isolate any of these duels. You can tell the side of Heretics are just going to play this patiently, grouping up to almost try and bait out shots to work out where this man is standing. He has managed to isolate Pora, but you can see instantly the trade is there from Avova. And I think this is just a showcase almost of the depth of talent of Heretics. I don't really like to point out scoreboards. It's not the most analytical tool in the world. But when you have a team that's 13, 13, 13, 11, 10, you kind of have to mention it. Everybody is performing right now for Heretics.
Yeah, most definitely. You can see there for Niso, okay, he's got a high combat score, high deaths as well. It's again, not the best tool in the world, but you can see and you can feel that when you think back at these rounds in how aggressive he has been, especially in holding down ropes on the defensive side, and now seeing him on the attack. Well, it's just a whole different kind of treat. With these SMGs, they're facing up against 3 sheriffs and 2 classes. It is possibly the easiest round you can imagine, when none of these players have got armor either. You'll tear them to shreds. But they can still be dangerous. You've got to be a little bit cautious. As Heretics look towards the B side, they should know at this point that rotations have come underway, right? They spotted players, but those players have fallen back, and typically what that means is they've got their buddies waiting around the corner to give you a good 1-2. And so, Heretics do start a slow rotation to the A side.
Yeah, I think Pora has probably fed information to his team as well that, okay, no one's come through mid, no one's pushed through A, they haven't got any flanks, they don't have any information, so they're just gambling. What I will say, though, is now we've actually seen Akukos get aggressive. Existence pushing all the way through towards the spawn, so they have the perfect read towards B, at least, and the remaining players have rotated into A. Now, let's be real, Mitch. The chances are still very slim, especially when you've got entry fraggers like Nisao and Nuki. Or maybe just Nisao.
He might be all you need. Goes in with the classic for the 4th. Almost kills his teammate there. Good crosshair placement, just in case. But it's all up to Akukos. He's coming from behind a 1v5 for the IGL of existence. And the shot and miss gives Avova the perfect chance to close this one out with the Spectre. 11-3. Now, Tom, you said that this half felt like it was a pistol or bust. Well, Heretics won the pistol and the follow-up. They're now 11-3. How unlikely is it that NiP make this comeback?
Honestly, like I would say like 10%. Like realistically, they have to have an incredible defensive side, which we have seen in the past. Like the way this map started out in professional Valorant, we were looking at it as like a really defense-sided map. The problem is I'd be a bit disappointed in Heretics if that happened, especially with the way that their players are currently performing, with the fact that I think Nuki, in terms of statistics, has the best entry percentage of anyone left in the tournament, with the fact that they've added Nisao in, who also has some of the best stats in terms of entry fragging. Like, it'll be disappointing. And look at Nisao. We need to cut to Nisao now. He's in the site. He's just gone waltzing in. Didn't throw much utility at all.
A straight push by Niso. The confidence that he has got now makes him even harder to play against. On the site, you have a lone JD isolated Pora. Oh, hello, Chihuahua. Out of the smoke he goes. A quick double. JD, who we were saying was alone, now has support. His whole team rallying to his side, and Pora can't get a damn thing done. 11-4 as NiP pick up their first round on defense after the first 2, but there was only a bonus from Heretics, and I want to give you a little bit of hope here, Tom. The last time that NiP played this map, the last 2 times, in fact, versus G2, who they struggled through to get to this stage, it was a 9-2 defensive half, and before that, a 9-3, both in favor of NiP. So we know that their defense is good. The question is, are Heretics going to allow NiP to make that kind of a wall in front of them? Because at the moment, they're looking hot. They're looking confident. They've got plenty of opportunities to get rounds on the board.
I'm liking the start, though. It doesn't seem like anything's really changed for NiP. It's not like they've checked out. It's not like they're playing passive. It's not like they're scared to take these fights versus their opposition. They are willing to go for the similar sort of map control that we've witnessed from them in the past. Even going for a deep sage wall to try and lock players out of A. They've then gone aggressive into B so that they can check there's no rush. And now they're going to battle him for mid. 3 players just not going to push all the way down. Existence taking the mantle of Star Fragger in this one, but they've got to be careful because it quickly slips away.
It does. Nuki and Lowell all too happy to take those frags if you give them the opportunities. Now they'll rotate to the A side as the wall breaks due to time. Being placed right at the start of the round and now disappears. The cage down. They've spotted a player. JD is about to take a fight. He might not know there's 2 players here though. Pora goes through the cage and gets fragged, but the refrag is there. Now Showstopper online. Chihuahua wants to shut it down before it can even be popped, and he gets it done. Lowell alone, but has the spike. The plant sure to come down, and a 1 versus 2 as the retake will be mounted by NiP. Not going to be the cleanest of rounds, especially as they've just spotted him out. Now they know exactly where he is.
He might try and use that to his advantage, though. Try and sneak his way through. Oh, he catches one on the cross, but fantastic round from Akuko's. He's going to net the final frag. And again, I love the idea from NiP. This is something they do quite regularly. Look to try and set up Rhyme with some aggressive peeks into mid. They do this a lot of the time when they have a 3rd round bonus, but in this case, not so much. It was a full rifle round, and I think caught Heretics off guard because, again, when you're up this far, I think a lot of the time teams will expect you to fall into almost a cage. Like, okay, I can't make these sort of plays. I can't take these sort of risks. The only thing that scared me is they maybe hung around a little bit too long. Like, they're sort of like, oh yeah, we want to just slam them in this round, and instead it falls apart a bit.
11-5. You know, at what point do you start to get scared if you're Heretics? The sweat on your brows starts to group up, and I think it's relatively soon. They're left down to a weak buy here. And coming into, you know, an 11-7 scoreline, let's say, if we end up there, 11-8 as the case would probably be, that's when that advantage doesn't seem to be anywhere near as strong as it previously was. And yeah, you're talking about the read of NiP. 3 players stacked up on B as Heretics push out. Showstopper does enough damage to kill Rhyme as he falls off the top. Here comes the Rolling Thunder to try and capitalize, but a well-placed eye, a leer, stops them from seeing anything. The cage does much the same. They know where Chihuahua is, but here comes Paranoia, the push out, and Niso with a classic, quick to get one. Rez comes in. This is desperate times for NiP. They want this round. They need this round, but a man advantage still sits with Heretics. Here, oh, Niso with a jump shot takes him down. He's right beside you, Existence, and down he goes to Avova. 12-5 in the most unlikely of rounds. Heretics make it work.
His highlight movie from this game is just going to be straight BS, like jump-in headshots. You've got the kills with the Bucky while on a rope. Like this makes no sense. Like how this guy is, if this guy is your bench player, this is your 6th man most of the time. Like he doesn't even play half the maps, and he's just like, don't worry lads, I'm going to pop in, I'm going to wreck some noobs, and I'm going to get out of here again. Like, I love watching Niso play. It's so much fun. And now look at this. Look what they're trying to survive with, Mitch. You have an awful buy over on the side of NiP, and you still have a res available for Heretics. And they're already trying to put some pressure on Avova, waiting in the corner. Chihuahua's so close, but so close doesn't win anything.
You notice his teammates were spamming through that cage as well, stopping anybody from pushing him, and when they eventually did, he was all too quick to get the kill. Man advantage, but a showstopper online for NiP. The res will be used if they don't claim significant map control after finding kills. And so this is a tough round, a really, really tough round for NiP. They're still not fully rotated. Existence on the A side as JD picks up a kill on B, lit down very low as heal online, but it's not going to get him up to full, and it's going to take a while as well. There's the res onto Nuke, but Rhyme takes a little bit too long to go forward as he eventually moves in. His whole team has already fallen, and looking into heaven after a double, it's just not enough. 13 rounds
going, yeah, you know what, let's give this a go.
Yeah, most definitely. Obviously, they've practiced with this a little bit. And you know what? With how absolutely blazing hot this guy has been, I'm not going to complain about it. You know, when players are showing up the way that they are, the way that he is, let's see what he can do. I noticed, actually, I think he's invested into abilities, and he's also got a ghost. So this could be interesting. You know, Nuki's going to be taking that opening fight and look to really initiate damage on ranged fights, which is perfect for him if he can get up to that 150 health. But it does rely on him hitting these first couple of shots. You can see NiP backed up with 3 players towards the B site, and this gamble might just pay off. 2 have been spotted on long now with this flash going out. There we go. And this is where you could see them try to push out hookah, and the idea is obviously JD catches them off, but that's not happening. Heretics are just bailing out. They're leaving. They're going back towards the A site, which now has only those 2 players. A good opportunity.
Yeah, but one of them being Chihuahua, and look how much information he's managed to garner. Already using the cam to spot out a little bit more, but there haven't been any rotations just yet. I don't know if he actually saw anyone there, so no one's moved. There's only going to be 2 players here, but Chihuahua, maybe he could do it alone. He is a pistol god, but it's not quite the sheriff this time, as he will only take 1 for his troubles.
Oh, hello, Kriya. Nice little one-tap damage done as well. Over towards 2 of these remaining players for Heretics. This could be pretty tough to hold on to. Oh, that paranoia. Not in time, but Lowell saves the day. A shot from afar as JD falls. Lowell up on full health, still with his armor. He's got to be the point man, surely. Avova with 10 HP doesn't stand a chance in a fight. Rhyme already inside that smoke. There's the flash as they push on forward. Lowell, ooh, they gonna go all the way around? That's ballsy, but they're correctly predicting that this won't be a stick. Avova goes in for the info and gets it. Lowell turns up, but there's already 2 looking at him. And Rhyme showing up in the pistol, grabbing himself a double, and the defuse. That's gonna do a lot for his ultimate straight away.
Yeah, I do wonder if maybe being a little bit more patient, but I guess with the fact that the spike was tapped, it almost baits them in a bit, but Lau was only a couple of seconds away from getting the heal, and then it could have been a very different scenario. But nonetheless, again, we're going to see a solid start. NiP get themselves a pistol. I think it's important that they do. Like, after the last map, you've basically been bodied by your opposition. Let's not put it lightly. It was seemingly a fairly easy game for Team Heretics. Now you get to start on the defense. Now you get to be the one potentially putting up those heavy rounds early, and we have to wait and see, okay, now that maybe the firepower has dipped a little bit for Heretics, are they still going to be as scary?
Nice deep flash here from Existence. Another going to pop out as they look to swing on the corner. Avova goes down. There's the Bulldog for the range fight. And well handled. Rubino falls. Spike is down. Picked back up by Nukia swiftly as they look to push A. But look at this. A 1v1 fight that could drop the Spike. But if it doesn't, it gives Nukia full HP and a potential weapon to be picked up. Chihuahua, though, he's closing it out nice and clean. Out of the TP and into the fray. Nukia, another kill and another heal. Now out of heals completely and out of time as Chihuahua closes the round out. A bit of a messy one there, and a couple of losses taken from NiP.
That was a bit too close. That one had me on the edge of my seat, because Nuki gets another kill there, and well, you're looking at 3 players dropped in a round that's meant to be your bonus. It's meant to be your cash maker. Now, one thing I think that's going to be thoroughly enjoyable about this map is just the way that NiP play the defense. You'll see it across all of their maps, but a lot of them are solid gambles. They're taking risks, they're making pushes, and then they have players like Chihuahua to basically hold down the fort. In fact, you could say that for both teams. Pora is exactly the same. They're going to rely on him heavily. Again, we're going to see a different dynamic push, and already so much coming straight into the face of Nuki gets cleared, but they stop holding. I would have thought they'd be waiting to see if anybody's pushed out of the angle, but instead, he's going to get away with it, and I think he's a little bit lucky.
Yeah, I mean, he stayed inside of it for quite a while, so I'm still surprised they don't hold it till the full thing's gone through, but hey, there's a bonus, right? Nuki's got a smile on his face. They now look for the control inside of the B side, or outside of it, rather, pushing up and starting to position themselves for a nice little push through hookah. And they're going to drone it out. Presumably, Nukia is going to follow that drone in and look to trade out any info that it gets, but nobody's been seen, and now they know that they've got full hookah control. For NiP, spotting out that drone and a player, this is where you start to, well, especially all those spams, you definitely rotate a player into position. They're pushing up mid on A as well, so they know at this point it is most likely to be a B hit. Final flash gone though, and it doesn't really get them anything. A sideswipe headshot. Ryan wants to come through that smoke, and he's gonna straight go for it, dropping down on their heads. It's like watching Mario upgraded for the third as well, tearing them to shreds, 3-0.
That was sick from Ryman. These are the sort of rounds that were missing from him. And you sort of mentioned it in the midpoint of the round that they had so much information because of that flank. All the players within the site could afford to hold. But at the same time, you were looking at players with SMG, with pieces missing, and they make that look fairly easy, in all honesty. Like that was a solid hold, and Heretics have been put into a bit of a rough spot. It looks like we're about to see a hero rifle. Of course, you can always get baited when it comes to Valorant because they are able to sell their guns, but no. Nuki's going to try and make this one costly. He did well in the last round with just a pistol. Let's see what he can do with a solo Vandal.
If you want it on anyone, it's Nuki, and with his ultimate online, I mean, that spray can be pretty hard to control, but when you master it, it's a killing machine. So many bullets coming out so quickly, and only one needed to the head to get a kill. Speaking of kills, a shock dart one. Now, Jonas is going to be happy with that. JD's coming in, opening things up for the defense. Team Heretics lose a man straight away, but what they lose in manpower, they gain in map control. Pushing out towards the site. That's an unfortunate turn of events. The fight on the side grabs Nuki a kill. He heals up off it. His Empress will last that little longer, but he will not last very long at all. A 3 versus 4 and the retake, I mean, looking favorable for NiP straight away. It's even.
That battle was everything. If Nuki gets the second kill. I do like this, though. They're not actually going to go for the plant. They're going to re-rotate in. If they peek this together, there's a good chance, but Avova just touches the edge of the dark cover, and that's enough for him to go down. Rubino has managed to kill off another one, but they should not be allowed to escape here. Falling all the way back, and in fact, there is no one remaining. They just have to go chasing all the way through A. This has turned into 2 rifles now for the side of Heretics, and a very possible 3v2.
A very possible 3v3, in fact. Lal has got a teammate down in middle that he's slowly moving towards. If he gets there, a res could come through and we could see a very even fight, but that player only has a pistol. Perhaps not. Oh, there's the barrel spotted. Rubino knows that they're pushing through spawn right now. He has the info to play with, but he's being spotted himself. A shock dart through. Lowell falls, and it's all onto this Bulldog. He's going to be shot in the side to close it and put 4 on the board for NiP, showing Heretics what it tastes like to have some of their own medicine.
Yeah, it means that this round, unfortunately, ends basically in the way that we thought it would. But yeah, it got a bit scary, especially when you look at that and go, okay, well, now Nuki's dead. There shouldn't be much of a chance. But they still bring that into a very doable situation, even just with the pistol. So not bad again. The problem now is we're going to start looking at Team Heretics and say, okay, you've done the damage, you've made things costly, you brought these rounds close, but now we actually want to see something placed onto the board. And I think all in all, it's not going to be too bad. Only Nuki, of course, with the extra investment, having to drop down to light armor instead. And again, look at the current setup, Mitch. There are 4 players. It's fully reliant on Chihuahua if they go in the other direction. But this is just going to be some early control, looking to find a pick and fall back. The problem is the attackers on the other side are actually all pushing through bathrooms.
Yeah, what's particularly scary about this is the bathroom is the area that Chihuahua can't really watch, right? His camera, his tripwires aren't looking at it, but Spike goes down. The smoke from Korea, they will just fall back. They'll concede the control. That might almost sell an extra fake. The Spike's being spotted as they seize more and more control of this A side. But it looks like Heretics want to slowly shift backwards, which is where there could have been even more problems. Avova takes damage with Spike in hand. If that was dropped, you're going to probably look at aggression down middle and a potential guaranteed round for NiP. But instead, they get the wall up and they get the res. And it doesn't... Oh! He's escaped it!
I'm not really sure how. And as said, this was a gamble stack. They kept to the majority of their players on B, so the second Chihuahua falls, something that I guess they were almost relying on not happening. This is now a 3 versus 5. Now, 2 players are incredibly low, and some good utility usage could be enough to bring this back, but they need a pick, and they need it fast.
They do, and Avova on 14 HP, he's likely to be the pick that the defenders pick up. Tucked in the corner, but we've seen it before. He has a supportive setup. He has a player ready to take the fight as they swing on out, and it's Nuki in the back lines that grabs one, jumps up to pick the dismiss and bail through the bathroom. NiP realize this 2v5 ain't gonna happen today, and they start to run away, hoping that they get chased so they can at least cause a dent in the Heretics economy, but that doesn't look all too likely. We're looking at 4-1 now. Heretics finally answering back.
I think the only thing that's a bit off about this round for NiP is the fact that they hold that 4-man stack for so long. I got no problem with the initial aggression, got no problem with the fact that, okay, they push through, they get a pick, and then they fall back. the thing that's a bit peculiar is, okay, you've been spotted getting that aggressive. You've lost another player getting that aggressive. They can have a pretty good read that, okay, there's probably at least 3 players on B. The second Chihuahua goes down, this round is over because he's left as that solo site hold. And especially on the A site, that is not an easy task.
And for that very reason, this is why they can't do what they want to do, which is in this position, having 4 players on B or having such heavy B control, you want to push A. When you see so many players, you see the spike, you need to get the info on the other side of the map to confirm whether they're rotating back, and they couldn't do that. Straight away, Ryan goes down in this round, a very aggressive peek with blast packs, but it nets him nothing. And with the man advantage now in their favor, Heretics, we've already seen slow rounds from them. I'm presuming this is going to be yet another. I say that, though, that they've been spotted by the Cypher cam inside of hookah, so I thought Nuke was going to go super aggressive, but he'll slow it down.
Oh, that's not the peak you want from JD. Gone already. And the rest of the players completely isolated from this round. Sure, they've got a little bit of extra utility to try and slow down the push, but chances of getting back in a slim Chihuahua, though. He actually manages to find the kill onto Nuke. It looked like he was almost dead to rights. It turns into a workable position. The problem is there's no one left to bring back his health. There's no chance of him really doing much more. Has to just go swinging into the site, and it's trades back and forth, which is all Heretics really need. Akuko's even going to throw in the Rolling Thunder, but he doesn't expect the Vova in the corner. And now, last man standing, 1v3. He's got no choice but to escape.
Running for his life here so he can maintain his existence into the next round, and indeed the existence of his weapon. I thought that was a good joke, Tom. Enjoyed it. And yeah, for Heretics...
Now do the same with Akukos.
Yeah. Well, I'll wait till he gets a clutch and then I'll do it. You know what Akukos means?
You told me, but I have already forgotten.
It's, as far as I understand, someone on Twitter told me that it's like, no mercy, or something like that. I don't know.
Aren't you best friends? I've heard that you actually don't call him Akukos. You call him Big Kev.
This rumor was started by Yinsu Collins. I don't know on what basis, but all right.
Big Kev and Little Mitch. I don't know. There's a ring to it.
Well, 4-2, Tom. Let's talk about NiP and Heretics, because I don't like the topics you're bringing up. We got a pause coming in here. It just gives us more time to discuss what we're about to see go down. You know, with the position that Heretics are in, they've built up credits. They've got a lot working for them. And remember, this hasn't been like flat out for NiP. They won the pistol. It was close. Second round, they lose 2 players, so there was a little bit of a dent to their economy. So it did start out well. Heretics have not been... silent or asleep during this series. They've been fighting for it, and now with the round starting to swing their way, I put heavy onus on NiP to answer up and show us what they've got, especially as their economy starts to dwindle.
Looking like a pretty quick pace change as well. Ryan again goes for the aggression over towards B long. Starts things off with a pick, and this time they're out of there. I don't think they're going to risk too much more other than some information plays. They've also this time put a second player on A, which means there can't just be a quick switch up from the side of Heretics and move into the other side with less defense. In fact, we're seeing more aggression. Something you mentioned just moments ago. Okay, you found out that there's players over on B. Is there anybody towards A? Well, they know that now as well.
Yeah, this is pretty big. At the position where Heretics lose that opening duel, especially the way that they did, they're at a loss in this round. They were so heavily focused on B that they can't really rotate to A without heavy risks. But the player up close hasn't been spotted. That's a very advanced push, and they're already on the site. 2 quick kills, and it was actually Hookah that was finding that. Nuke just keeps on going. Once confidence comes into his corner, he is unstoppable, and you're seeing it right here and right now. 2 kills on that B entry, and Heretics have got the spike planned with the man advantage.
Incredible. And also Kriya tried to fast rotate there. That also managed to get denied. So he's had to go the old-fashioned way, wrap back around with the one remaining player alongside him, Chihuahua. I don't think they're going to expect this angle from Lau. It almost seems like a little bit of BM just to be sat exactly where the spike is, and he'll peek out and get both kills alongside it. As I said, that is an unorthodox after-plant position, but he manages to make it work. And yeah, I have to look at that round from NiP and go, I almost wonder how that went wrong. Like, it does just seem to be off the straight star power. And it was something I was speaking to you about before the match began, that in terms of players in Europe, in terms of the best players in Europe, I think it'll be hard to find anyone at the moment who's better than Nuke. Like, genuinely, I think the way that he plays his game, be it obviously on Reyna this time or on the Rays, he's so impactful with his entry kills. He puts up ridiculous numbers on this map. I think the last couple of maps he played, 27 and 17, 28 and 13. So not only a star, but a consistent star. And he's someone that NiP desperately need to try and shut down.
Yeah, there's a couple players up there for the discussion, but I 100% agree. Nuke is there. This time, it's actually going to be Avova and Rubino that are finding the openings and pulling it into a man advantage for Heretics. That was the B long push attempted by NiP but shut down. They're not going to give up though. They start to push down middle. You know, take my B long, I'll take the B short. And it's Existence who's going to come up on this flank. Akukos, no mercy. Let's see if he gives any quarter to his opponents. That tripwire rather is going to catch him off as he pushes on through. He's going to have to destroy it, and that gives them the information over that there's a flanker. With that, you know, they're not really too worried for now that it's still live, and there we go. It's broken. They'll look at their backs, and Akukos comes around the corner into a more than ready Pora, a free kill, as it were, because he had support from up above. A 2v4 remains, and NiP, they might almost consider the save. Oh, there's someone above. Chihuahua's no idea that's a free kill for Lel.
I was about to say, good luck saving from there. I don't know how you plan to get out of lamps as a Cypher with no utility left, but it's not going to happen this time, and they're on the hunt. Like, Heretics, well, you said no mercy. It's actually going to go the other way. They want to try and remove every single weapon possible, leave... Actually, I don't know, leaving NiP on pistols actually seems like a worse idea. Let them have the rifles. Don't allow Chihuahua to get himself a sheriff. You don't want to see that happen. So deadly in the last map. I think the thing with this round, though, and it has to be mentioned, Heretics have a very strong default. There's something that, especially if we get into the third map, you'll see, like, they'll hold a lot of the time. If you're going to try the same piece of aggression 3 times... eventually it's going to bite you. And that's something that NiP have been consistently trying, pushing all the way through long. You could see both Avova and Rubino were more than ready for that peak. So I would like to see them maybe be a little bit more dynamic with their aggression, especially because in terms of A long control or bathrooms control, we haven't really seen much of it at all. So I think that's a part of the map that they could almost look to dominate and then maybe gamble an extra rotation over.
We'll see if they make those adjustments as the rounds go on. I mean, we've already hit round number 9. And with the scoreline tied up as it is, that means that NiP, they won the pistol, they won the versus an eco. They've only won 1 buy round. This is the thing. Heretics are looking far stronger in that department, and it's only underlined by that opening duel swinging their way. As they move towards the A site, there's already 3 players in position. They've got aggression down B mid, so NiP have the information that it's not going to be a B hit. There's only 1 place left that it could go towards. With those weaker weapons, though, it's going to be tough to capitalize, and Korea runs right out into the open. The flash, though, completely blinded. Nuke, there we go. The return, the dismiss, and he's back over in the corner. Alir up top, but Korea still hits it. Full blind, and he gets the kill. Avova not able to make it away. The nade picks him up, and with that, Spike is on the floor. They wanted to TP to B, but it wasn't possible to retreat, leaving Pora in this, well, I would say unwinnable position of a 1v3.
Yeah, then again, this round in general looked unwinnable for NiP, so let's give him the benefit of the doubt. The 1 versus 3 situation doesn't have a lot of time left. Going to try and use the cage to his advantage, but it has almost definitely given away his position. They're going to know exactly where he is, and I like this. The bait and switch. There was no chance for him taking that peak. They had so many players ready and waiting, and JD is going to be there to close out the round. Fantastic stuff for NiP, but it's the same again. They're so strong with these pistols. They're so strong at picking players off in sort of awkward battles where they're being a little bit more aggressive, like for example this peak, and well, unfortunately for Heretics, they keep getting caught off by these sort of plays.
It's a real tough one to face into. That nade. Oh, he stuck the plant inside the nade. That's a questionable decision considering it was a 2v3.
Oh, yeah. No, I think he tried to from the shadows. I think he used his ult. And he got killed by the... Yeah, I think he got stuck because he was using his ult to TP to the other side of the map. Because if you look, he's only got 1... He's got 1 wedge left, so that means he only got the 1 from dying.
Yeah, he must have quickly done it. I saw him planting the spike, and I'm thinking, is he just full committing to it? But all right. Quick transition.
That's really unlucky then, because he must have been... maybe under a second away from being on the other side of the map with the spike, and that explains why his teammate went straight through the TP.
Yeah, exactly.
So it makes a lot more sense now what Heretics were trying to do, but they got bitten by the utility usage and, again, the pistols.
I think, yeah, in those situations, though, you got to wait that extra second, make sure that your Omen is safe, although there's nothing they could have done about that nade, really. You can't shoot it, you can't destroy it, you just got to run away. In this position now, you've already done damage to Poor. He's straight up out of this round until that heal comes through and puts him right back up. Should be about, yeah, about 80 before he comes into the fight. Avova picking up the opening, but it's NiP that I'm a little bit worried about. He's over towards bathroom and looking to push out on these side angles. Chihuahua keeping safe behind that smoke, but it'll only last so long. Avova still pushing forward inside of Lamps and looking for a duel as Pora picks up the 6. Tripwire gets destroyed. He was ready for that, but they knew exactly what was going on. They had the read. There's NiP finally capitalizing on that position from the early round. And again, I feel like we're in a spot where NiP almost have to save.
Yeah, they don't really have a choice. And again, I don't really think Heretics did anything too complicated in this round. They get 2 opening picks towards Lamps. Now Nuki's like, well, I've popped the Empress, lads. I'm going to go pushing. I've got to try and find a kill or 2 here. I've got to pad those stats a little bit further. As I said, I think his average ACS is something like 270, which I think you're only going to find players like Scream who have higher than that. And, well, Scream might need his teammates to step up a little bit if they're going to go further. Maybe, you know, they could sub in someone like Jonas. Like he could try and teach them a few darts or something. But then again, statistically, I watched a couple of the streams and it seems like Scream had to carry him as well.
I'm looking forward to this death segment now. I'm sure Jonas is going to have some things to fire back, and I'd be careful, man. He can bounce them off all kinds of walls. But
that's true.
Yeah, it doesn't matter if he can't see you. He can hit you. 5-5. We're tied up yet again. It's been neck and neck, but in buy rounds, as I said, Heretics have looked better. They've been picking up round after round, whereas NiP got that boost of 4-0 at the very start of the game by winning the pistol and the first buy. For Heretics at this point, it looks very centered around the A side, but they have got a lurker waiting. Why do you need a lurker, though, when you've got NiP? Just going to run out on site and again shut down Chihuahua. His head-to-heads with Chihuahua now must just be a clean like 5 or 6-0 at this point. Chihuahua's getting shut down on that A hold. They haven't spotted Omen. This is one upside is Kriya playing behind default was completely unchecked. The problem as well is that they're not really pushing forward, so now they'll presume that those players can be anywhere. Is he going to go through the smoke? And he doesn't even get killed. Nukia is he's bulletproof.
He doesn't take a single point of damage. The Rolling Thunder as well we use to force back the remaining players, but Nuki's still here, and he wins a second duel as well. He's taken this into his own hands! A third one for Nuki, and that's round over. This man is unbelievable. Like, we go back to the desk sort of talking about Niso, like, can they fill the void? Well, Nuki was just waiting the whole time, just like, guys, I got this.
It's massive as well. Like, I was saying to you in between this game, Tom, we've talked about it before. If you were to watch anybody to learn how to get better at Valorant, don't watch Nuki, because it feels like he has some... If you were to go through and objectively say each decision, is this good or is this bad? I think you'd highlight bad more than you'd highlight good, but he makes it work. He's so individually skilled, is such a good read. Like, people will look at him and go, oh, okay, so when an Omen smokes bathroom, I'll just shift walk through it, right? No, you're going to die 90% of the time. But Nukia, he turns it into a 3K, wins the round for his team, and forces NiP to save coming into the last round of the half. I mean, this is devastating right now for these defenders, and even saving these weapons might not be possible because look who's coming. It's Nuki. He's up behind looking for a kill. Pora grabs one, but those wall bangs, they don't provide any service. 6-5. One weapon saved over. It's something at least.
Yeah, he's looking to match those stats from before. As I said, 27, 28 kills the last 2 times they played Bind. He's up to 14 already in this half, and the next best fragger is actually Rhyme, who in a lot of the aggressive rounds that he's had over on the defense, he's been very successful. But it's almost looked like over the last few rounds, Heretics have just, either they've been waiting for that aggression on B, or they've left it. And I like the change from NiP. They've realized, okay, we're losing a lot of control over towards the bathrooms. We need to get rid of this one man who's destroying us. And of course, Mitch, if you try to adapt, he's not there anymore.
One thing I want to point out as well is coming into this final round, there's a Bulldog for Chihuahua, and that being shut down by, I think it was Pora, pushing in through elbow. If they didn't lose that extra weapon, they've got a much stronger buy. Nukia, he's in trouble, and he manages to deal damage down to 5 HP, but it's not enough. Akukos will make it out of there and fall back. No Sage for NiP, so there's no heals. He will remain super low, but that Flasher staying alive into the late stage of the round when you've got a man advantage, that is a huge, huge bonus now that could come back to bite Heretics.
Yeah, they need to get the rotation in. They've spotted that every single player was on the other side of the map, but are clearly a bit wary of rotations. But look how aggressive they got elsewhere. Chihuahua with deep control into mid. If they try and wrap back around, they're going to walk straight back into him. And look at his position. If he's going to hear the footsteps, he's going to know that they're coming. If they clear this angle, they've got a bigger brain than I thought. But the paranoia is spot on. 2 quick kills, 30 seconds left. It needs to be a 1 versus 4 for Rubino. And, well, let's be real, that was never going to happen.
No, a little bit too much to ask from Rubino. That is 6-6 now, tied up at the half. A 4-0 lead for NiP, but Heretics did well to get back on the board. There's a lot to be said about this defense, but right there in the last couple of rounds, it looked like NiP really got it figured out.
Yeah, kill Nuki, win round. What do you mean? Honestly, Mitch, I thought it was obvious. Like, the fact that we're actually going to have to hand off to the desk and they're going to have to break this down, like, kill Nuki, win round. That's it. That's what works. And the fact is, the way they did that was 4-man stack. Hey, just put everyone there. Ryan will hold down the fort, and I almost think the Heretics towards the end, like, maybe played themselves a bit, like just trying to go for over rotations, and NiP are not a team that will sit static. Now we're going to get back into our pistol round again. That's been where NiP have done relatively well so far. The pistols have been their friend, that's for sure. But again, they're going to want to get off to a strong start in this second half.
Well, they absolutely are. Winning the pistol, we've already seen the benefits that it can do, or give, rewards you can reap. You managed to find the follow-up as well. Big leg up in the half. Nukie going aggressive, no surprise there. Lots of player in bathroom and decides to back off afterwards. Not wanting to overstay his welcome. There's 3 players towards the A site, but very little information to play with on B. What I do like, though, is that Pora, I think they threw some utility through the TP. He's just managed to make his way in.
Yeah, look at his cam as well. This is so sick. He's got the cam so he can spot if anybody's crossing, and then can peek back out of the TP with the information already in hand. This is such a dirty setup coming out from Pora. Like, I almost want to call him a rat at this stage, because it's just so filthy that if they try and cross that spot, it's going to be rough. Now already, they're going to be stuck in mid, and Nuki this time is going to get punished. His aggression shut down, and the rotation has to come back in, putting 2 players at least on A, but not in the best of positions. JD as well gets the rotation onto Pora. This is looking good for NiP.
Cutting off the flanker, very valuable kill for NiP. Avova wants to try to pull it back. He's taking a risk and it doesn't pay off. NiP picking every single kill in this round. Akukos in for 4 to close out the pistol. It's flawless from NiP, and that's the kind of start they wanted.
That was just, like, I love the setup that the Heretics had, but again, it's just patience. And I think that's one of the things that NiP maybe do better than anyone else. Like, just having these pace switch-ups, having these slow defaults when they need it, and then switching things up into a faster round to try and catch their opponents off guard. It's something Existence has been doing for years across different games, and I'm looking forward to the future of this roster and seeing that once again. Now, again, they've got to be a bit careful of the pistols, but there's only 1 really invested here. So unless Nuki really is going to put everybody in his Dora the Explorer backpack and carry them through this round, I don't think we're going to see much here from Heretics.
Looking into the previous map, you know, when Heretics were picking up rounds, they were picking up a lot of them. You know, you had those 5- and 4-round win streaks again and again. We know that once they pick up a little bit of slack here, they'll just keep on exploiting it. But NiP, the faster pace in the pistol, and towards the end of Split, they started to get a handle on it a little bit too late. Let's see if they keep with the same mode of aggression. And this, what? That's a collateral for Nukie. He picks up 2, bathroom wide open, and NiP falling apart right away. That is a hurdle they have to overcome. Rubino down low, down goes Pora. Okay, it looks like NiP have recovered this. All 3 players inside of Lamps. Do you expect that? Probably not. Lowell's caught out. JD grabs another, but Avova on 11 HP. Surely they're not checking it, but indeed, they still are. How he gets a kill out of that, I do not know. But For this round, for what was in it to come out with 3 kills, Tom, they might not have a round on the board, but I think they won that one. Oh, stop, man.
Can we say it one more time? Let's wheel it back. I need that again. That is absolutely ridiculous. Like that's one of those things that you're not going to see very often, and more importantly, it had to be him. It had to be him. He currently has more than double the kills of anyone else on his team. Like it's truly ridiculous, and it's one of those positions. The last map, it has to be mentioned that Heretics did win both pistols, so they got themselves off to a fantastic start. This time they've lost both pistols and had to fight back. We'll see if they can do it again in the second half. Now we are going to see a lot of information being garnered from the attack inside. They're going to go pushing all the way up into B long. Now, this isn't so much of a bonus round because they've reinvested into a lot of rifles based off losing 3 players in the last round. So financially in the next, NiP would be rough. So if they lose this round, we could be seeing things leveled very easily.
And that's the benefit of Heretics so far in this map. I mean, they got 2 kills after the pistol in the first half, and then they've managed to do one better with the 3K in this. So 100% agree. This is a very important round for NiP to get on the board. Now you've got lots of tripwires sitting inside of Bath. As they push on forward, those will not be detected. Okay, so JD manages to spot the player deep, but they won't use any shock darts to destroy these. As they move forward, there's 1 destroyed, 2 as well. They're being quite cautious. Freya manages to pick up Nuke, a valuable player to drop straight away. The wall up gives Lowell a nice angle, but he's being spotted. Wants to fall back, but he can't get out. JD's watching the cross and ready to take that fight. 2-man advantage now, as NiP just completely shred them. Look at that. A nice 3K from JD. He picked up the player. It was Lowell trying to leave lamps, and swings into heavy traffic from spawn and capitalizes on them both. That was a big round for Heretics if they won it, but now NiP secure themselves a 3-round lead.
Yeah, I'm a bit disappointed we didn't see the guys at Heretics almost try and wait for a retake there. Like, if they can manage to hold on to the bathrooms, they have much more of an opportunity with the players rotating in. Instead, it ended a bit disjointed. Like, they tried to fight, then we saw Lau try to fight, and then the remaining 2 players, it's like, well, what can you really expect them to do? They're in a ridiculous scenario at that point. So, NiP do well to isolate the jewels, but I kind of hope for Heretics that they would try and play that one a little bit more together. But we'll see if they can fix that going into the future rounds. It's again going to be some pistols, and again, they're going to take a lot of map control, already deep in towards A bathrooms, but there was a cam. Nuki again! Alright, just maybe this man's looking to try and take Chihuahua's crown. This would be a bit of a cost. What is that? This doesn't make any sense. That gun is not meant to work like that.
I really thought, here's a collat. You know, it's coming. I could feel it. After that, let's see what the rest of his team can do, because they're no... Hold on. Lowell? He doesn't know the player's crossed, and he still gets it. Come on. No slackers on this team for sure. 2-man advantage to play with now for Heretics as they look fondly towards this site. A smoke down paranoia perfectly hits, and Kriya's in danger, swinging into heavy traffic again, leaving a Kukos to do it all. The spike down and marked. He's spraying away, and the first is found. I don't think they got that halfway. He has Rolling Thunder to play with, but he didn't realize the smoke was about to go. Mistimed. And misfired. He's out of here. 9-7.
Thrifty.
See, this is one of the rounds when, like, I'm given the job as color caster, and I don't know what to say, because that round was 4 kills with sheriff headshots, and the 5th was a vandal headshot. So basically, Heretics just headshotted anyone that walked into their path. It's unbelievable stuff. Like, towards the end, you can give them credit. The use of the paranoia, the swing together, good synergy from the team. But other than that, again, Nuki pulling off ridiculous things. He's got 5,892 combat score. No one else is even close. And even if you don't understand the mathematics that's put into making a combat score, it doesn't matter. That's a fantastic start, though. I think that's gone a little bit wrong with the early stage war. They did this previously to try and shut down map control. We saw it on the last map of Split, where they would do this towards A to try and deny any sort of lurk. I don't know if that's, again, a read coming out, Rhyme just trying to get further in front of it, but he's done a great job to start things off, especially when there's a res in play.
Yeah, this is definitely something that Heretics like to do, wall off parts of the map where there's an ult orb and grab that ult orb for their Sage. Now, Lowell has it because he's dead, but it's not much use. Can't res yourself, unfortunately, and there's no jet to revive him. There's Heretics looking towards this A site with a 3-man stack. It's actually B that's going to be pressured, and that makes it very, very difficult to get back in. I mean, this is a full buy round. NiP looking to clock this up. Rolling Thunder even committed to shut down Elbow. They've got sight. They should be easily able to get a plant out of this one. And Rhyme knows there's a flank coming in. Whiffs the initial shot, but gets it in the end. Pora not able to connect, and, well, we might need another hero play from Nukie. This story certainly lacking a hero right now for Heretics as he doesn't push out because he gets slowed a little bit. But here he comes. Out the corner, out the side, and down he goes. NiP are here to play, and it is one man left alive. You said the 1v4 earlier was undoable, never going to happen in that 12th round of the previous halftime. Well, how do you feel about his 1v5 chances? You think he's made the right call?
For the gifted subs, right? I've heard that there was an offer from Jonas. Like, surely this should be his moment to shine.
True.
Pulling out some... Then again, he doesn't really have much utility left, so I don't know what he's really going to do there. But yeah, fantastic take from NiP, denying any chance for Pora. He's someone who will consistently try and hold on to Elbow, especially when he knows that his team are coming around for a retake. And you could see Akukos was more than aware of that, putting fault lines through, trying to deny any control he could possibly take. And by the time he finally gets a peek, it's already over. The round is done. So good call from them. I think the entry as well on the other side of the map really helped them out. Like, if you're able to catch Lau and basically almost hold an extra couple of players there, because you know that the plan from Heretics is, okay, we wall this and then we leave maybe one player there because we don't need to have this full defense anymore because they can't get through the bathrooms. Well, you can't do that anymore because you've already lost the man who did it.
Looking over towards this spawn here is a bit of a jumble up for Heretics. You know, they've called a pause. They're going to be looking into this round. Presumably it's a tactical. They want to figure out exactly what they're doing. And I think that even came down to which agents were going where. A little bit of a conversation around it. Now, a 2-man passive A hold. Well, I say passive. We don't know that it's actually going to be a passive one, right? With how Laos like to push forward, but I'd be surprised in this round because he has the res. I don't want to see him playing super aggressive. I don't want to see him going for the ult orb control unless Nukie is there with him to try and grab it. And of course, yeah, as you mentioned, Tom, an operator in the hands of Nukie. You don't typically see it on your Reyna, but hey, he's capable. We know that for sure.
It's one of those sort of positions where I think, why not? Like, if you're able to take a peek, dismiss, that's perfect. That's literally an Oppa's dream, just to get out of there as quickly as possible and have 0% chance of dying. It also completely changes the dynamic of the round. Now, we're going to see this same play again. They're going to have the deep wall, and then control of mid is going to be taken by Nukie. By the looks of things, they at least initially tried to fake things out towards B, and it's worked. Look at this rotation. I mentioned it in the last round. The plan would be to leave one player behind. Well, that's exactly what they've done. And I feel like NiP are almost trying to play into this. They've conditioned them into a rotation, and now they have the A site for free.
Lowell took the ult orb as well. He took it to bait them into thinking, okay, this is aggressive bathroom, let's push mid and go right into the operator, but Nukie didn't get the opportunity. They're going to go all the way through. They're going to keep on sending it, and Pora caught completely off guard. That flash does catch them, the Leer blinding some, and it's just to keep them back from pushing while the res comes through. Now that they've got nothing really for that ultimate, it's time to make a move forward. They've committed to this round. They want to get something, but Ryan slows them down. Hunter's Fury crowd controls them into heaven, or at least that was the hope. Ryan not able to capitalize, but JD picks up one. Man advantage no longer in play. It's equalized instantly, but Avova from behind flanks out, grabs himself a kill to push forward. Rabino in with another. They're clearing out lamps one at a time. Akukos, one of the last standing beacons, and now the final. A 1v2, but time so low. Into the op he goes. Easy kill, and they don't get it halfway. No time because of it, and that's the round for NiP. Akukos winning that one pretty much single-handedly with the control over lamps.
How is that so close? That was almost a 5v5 retake with probably like 10 to 15 seconds already gone off the clock when it started. I honestly don't know how NiP lose so many players towards the end of it, but a nice try from Heretics. The problem is that's not really going to help them out too much. No operator left in play. I also have to give credit over to NiP for the way they started that round. They played it identically to the way they did the last, and then threw in a quick rotation back towards A. It was a complete bait, like going, oh, okay, like last round, we went towards A long, and then we went back. Well, this time, we're not going to go back. We'll go all the way, we'll throw some utility, and then we'll fall into this A A site now. Look at NiP. These are the sort of plays that are truly terrifying. He's been spotted by the cam, though. That's something that Chihuahua has been placing there every single round so that they know there hasn't been anybody pushing this far forward. This time they have an idea. A risky jump peek. Maybe trying to bait him for his teammate, but NiP, he's happy to just hold his ground.
Confidence the dismiss gives you, but he needs to win the fight first, down to 43 HP with Sage on the site to revive. Does he fall back here or stand his ground even more so? And it looks like the latter is going to be the response. Bullets whizzing past his head. He hears the reload, wants to go for it, but he can't see the player now safely behind the box. Moves up and gets an advanced position, and there's no way, surely no way, that they expect him here, although it looked like Existence was going to clear it for a second. He does, but right into Nukia's bullets he goes. Man advantage sitting over for the defenders. Heretics have struggled so far. NiP are starting to pick them apart. And again, we see a rotate from B begin. They're looking at the B site fondly.
30 seconds left.
Well, they've heard Rhyme into hookah. The rest of the team are going to make their move. He bounces through and actually gets caught by the paranoia. Pora again. As I said, he's always in this position. It's something they have to expect. Looking to try and deny the plant. There's only 15 seconds left as it looks to come through and Kriya. He's trying to hold the line. Finds the first kill. Actually gets a second as well. The Omen's gone huge in making this look possible, but Lau turns the tide once again, leaving it on to just him. Needing to try and bring this back. No res in play as he looks for the 1v2. The timing looked like it was perfect for JD, but instead he's found the kill, leaving just Chihuahua remaining. His utility's not going to help him out this time, but again, the time is ticking away. Looking to try and get this one half, which will be successful. The wallbang still possible here, but he's hiding in the corner and Lau's going to do it. The clutch, the 4K, and a round win for Heretics.
An absolute catastrophe for NiP. They were looking at map point and a probable third. All they had to do was shut down Lau, but he comes out with all 4 kills in a 2v4. Unbelievable work being done by Loud. He didn't even need to heal up as well. This was so well played. Textbook, getting it halfway, baiting the player into going for the wall bangs, and as he swings and thinks maybe this is staying stuck, boom, cleaned up. Lau is unbelievable. And the amount of depth that Heretics have, you can look at Nuke, you can look at Lowell, and then what we saw earlier, Niso, as players that can definitely make these 1vx clutches work. And for NiP, we're not seeing it today. They're much quieter than what we expect.
I'm perplexed as to how JD doesn't get him as well. It was like he was waiting for that peek to come through. And Yuki's actually going to ping the cam. And NiP, after what has been them holding outside of A, are actually going to go for a push in that direction, but they have to make it quick now. They've already lost their flanker. They've lost their hold. Chihuahua not going to be able to stop rotations, so they have to go into this site.
Rolling Thunder going to catch out one, but Rabino's quick to respond, slowing down the aggression through Bath, getting tags galore as Akukos has 24 health remaining. IGL of Existence, as he's also known. Shock Dart onto JD doesn't do that much. Existence is on his way back towards the spawn, a very, very long rotate. He doesn't want to give away any sound cues, but unfortunately, he's now being found, and maybe you'll even have Heretics scratching their head a bit going, why is he in spawn? Is he AFK? Certainly in a ranked game, you're going to be rushing down spawn, and that could be Nukia's flaw. He starts to move forward, and a sideswipe's coming in, but of course he wins that. With Existence on 24 HP and the spike dropped, this round is now out of NiP's hands, out of their control, and Nukia just keeps on going. Ult online, and a 3K to put 9 on the board for Heretics.
It must be so frustrating being on the other side of that, because especially when you know players like JD, for example, like Chihuahua, like Rhyme, we're talking about them as star players. Like they can all pull these rounds out themselves, and then you're holding an angle waiting for someone to peek, and he does that to you. Like, it's just going to be so demoralizing. 23 kills at the moment for NiP, and sure, they are still currently losing this map, but there's no doubt that this is his playground, this is his choice. Now we're back to what is a half buy. A few pieces invested for NiP, but we know what they can do with these sort of rounds. And considering the scoreline, if they can steal themselves a 12th here, it would be a miracle.
Yeah, remember the implications of winning this one here. If Heretics get this map, it's over, and NiP go to the lower bracket. They do not want that. Nade,
What?
pistol shots everywhere. We're watching Nuke. We're on board with them, ready for that big play to happen that we've seen again and again, but somehow on this extremely low buy, they make it work, pick up 3 weapons, and Heretics, within the first 20 seconds, it looks like they're going to save. Unbelievable.
How? Like, we only saw it from the perspective of Nuke, and I know there's been people in chat talking about observing. You can't blame a thing there. Like, you want to be watching the man. He's popped an Empress. He's been the best player in the entire map. He's holding an angle. Dead.
Here he comes.
Then 2 other players die to a Sheriff and a Classic. Like, what?
Yeah, you know,
How does that round come
especially with how this guy's been playing, right? And I mean, I don't want to focus too much on Nuke because, I mean, I can't really blame him. The dude gets naded on one side, shot on the other. What can you do? He thought that nade had a little bit less range than it did, and I think we've all been victims of that in the past. Right now, look at the scoreboard down the bottom. 23 kills for Nuke. He has been dominating in a game that they are losing and that they're set to lose. Now, 3 rounds needed for Heretics to get back into this. And that sheer... Tom, it's exactly what you talked about. The sheer pace of that round. NiP rush out B. They don't give any solace. They don't give any room. And they definitely don't take any surrender.
Oh, I wonder if they might go for something similar again. They've been good in these faster rounds at getting after plant positions. Again, we're going to see an early stack up in towards B long. Also some aggression coming down from Lau. It's been the same play every time. The wall will go forward. Nuke, though, he's in a different spot this time, and the dismiss. It almost feels like cheating when you get away with that, looking in your opponent's eyes and just dismissing them, moving away. Well, Rhyme, unfortunately, he's the one to take the brunt of that pick. It does mean that Nuke hasn't healed, and Chihuahua, he's found an important pick, but he does not expect the Vova to still be there. They're going to need to clear this angle with Nuke being brought back from the fray. Will he survive? No.
That was the weirdest res I've ever seen. Usually you'll use that to bait out, but they just kind of went, you're going to die here, bro. We got to hurt your stats a little bit. Oh, no.
Oh.
He got the kill right on him as well. Robin Hood from JD. It's a 1v2 thanks to that. And if Korea can just get that spike, he could TP out of here. But he spots the head, but he's been spotted as well. That jump peek a little dangerous. No paranoia. 3 seconds to a smoke. He spots the player out, but Poor is quick to hit the shot. 10 on the board for Team Heretics, despite what is one of the first Robin Hood plays I've really seen. JD just jumping around, throwing the arrow. There's a guy that can do that in real life. I don't know if you've seen him, but he's like an acrobat and an archer. Fires 3 arrows in a second. It's unbelievable. Or 0.6 of a second, actually. It's unbelievable.
I think you showed me that video.
He's doing like backflips and firing accurately. It's crazy, dude. I tried to do it. I hurt myself instantly.
I was about to say, I'm pretty sure Jonas is going to go and put that one in his playbook. He's like, okay, so I jump backwards and just fire the arrow straight at his face. It worked, so you can't really say too much. He did also die. Now, we're going to see another pause taken. A 12-10, NiP have definitely done better with these sort of almost brute force rounds, like these faster, aggressive plays. Decent utility, of course. I feel like brute force normally suggests that a team hasn't got tactics in the round. No, but the pace just seems to catch Heretics off guard. It doesn't allow for people like Nuke to push and probe and find picks because of how fast these openers have become. Now, again, you can almost ignore the fact that on the attack right now, Chihuahua's on the other side of the map. It's the 3/4 players that we're going to have pushing aggressively towards this B site in the early stages you want to focus on.
We were on board with Nuke before, and we saw it be a disaster. There's a nice angle on Lal doing what we were talking about, right? What Heretics love to do, wall off those old orbs and take control. It's a worthwhile investment, man. You know, versus a full buy, that wall doesn't get you that much value. They'll break it very quickly. It can get you some good angles to play off of, but that ult orb is far more valuable. I love that approach from Heretics, and they do it so often. We saw Nuke go for a little bit of aggression out B mid, but he didn't see anybody at all. He now decides to fall on back after being tagged up, hoping no one had seen him in the little corner. Although, I will say, after spotting him and after applying pressure to long, which they're still doing with Korea, they've just shifted their position yet again. Existence seems to love calling for these flank plays, but what could be a problem, this man right here, Nuke, he's coming down at just the right time to catch them unaware. There's one in front of him. Easy kill and dismiss out. Ready for another fight. And they just avoid it. They're going to run to the A site.
This is the problem most of the time as well, as it allows for this gamble stack to occur. You can see 3 players already there. Korea, he's trying his best. He's selling a fake. He's actually baited 1 player over in the rotation, and a second starting to become tempted as well. But it will now be this push into the A site. The rest of the team making their move. Rhyme leading the charge with the showstopper, but he's got stuck, and now in a cage as well. The utility is spot on from the defense. They're being held, and Akukos, he gives it an attempt, but it's not going to be anything. Those cages were just perfect from Pora. Didn't stand a chance in hell.
No way to get out of that one, really. Just textbook defense from Team Heretics. Even though they'd been baited into rotations, they still make it work with that strong A hold, thanks to still having 2 players on site. Now for NiP, it's time to make it work, man. They're looking for a map 3. They want to make it through to playoffs right away, and they would have to win this map and the next. If this goes to OT after the comeback Heretics have mounted, this could be the mentality of NiP broken. This is high risk now. They need to win this buy round, and already you're seeing weaknesses with Bulldogs in play off the bat for NiP. The tough one to make work, and it looks like we might see a faster paced round. The B side under heavy threat.
Yeah, this is where they thrived, but there are 3 players waiting. This time, they have the long control ready. It is going to be the ultimates put in, but it's a quick trade. Again, Nuki still trying to hold the line, but he falls. They've managed to garner an advantage, but there's already a fast flank.
Yeah, Avova's in position. I don't know that they're ready for this one. Spike on the site. Avova can easily take him down as soon as he goes for an open plant, or if he goes inside the tube, it's a little risky. Waiting. Oh, hold on. Heretics, they've been sold a fake. They're rotating back towards the A site. Avova picks up 1, but now he moves towards the site, maybe unaware the players are still here. The other 2 on the A site, and this will be a free plan for NiP and a 3 versus 2 retake for Heretics. Ultimate almost online for Lal if he gets just 1 kill, but nobody really in an easy position to res. This is going to be so hard to make work, and NiP can just play time. They've got great post-plant positions, and Heretics have no information to play off of. The camera destroyed from Pora. 30 seconds till it's back online. It's out of the round, and they need to force a fight. They need to find a victim now or never. As Lal makes his way in, he's tagged up heavily on his way through to hookah. Heals himself. Flank on the way in the form of a Kukos. Time is low. Ult comes through. Everything is stacked against Heretics. And Tom, this is it. This is the end of the game.
Go lurking. And actually, in terms of the setups from NiP, I'm a little bit worried because they at least previously had a bit of a lapse over mid, and that's one of the spots that he's going to be looking to start on. Either way, we will be getting into our pistol round. We'll have to wait a little bit for that because it's actually going to be the ninja starting out on the attack.
Yeah, they like to take this one nice and slow. Pump the brakes, you know? And straight away, mid-control for Heretics. They're popping down smokes. They're trying to stop anybody from pushing out. And as they do, Nuki was there to greet them, but not quite hitting that headshot. Korea's been big in the last map. He had some really large, really flashy rounds. And right now, he's the one that's opening this up, giving the man advantage over to that attacking side. And they've got plenty of options now for where they want to take it. Looks like the B side is their preference. And with the wall that's down, Heretics have completely left this site.
Yeah, the worry is there's still one for NiP, so now you've only got 1 avenue back in to actually try and do anything here. If I say that, they're actually coming in on a fast flank. Pora wrapping him from behind. He's got Avova alongside him as well, and they've done a hell of a lot of damage getting back into this site fairly early.
Sage dropped is always going to be impactful. You lose your heals in a pistol round where that little bit of extra health can make all the difference. Chihuahua lurking in towards B main as that wall had broken. They're spamming away. They're looking for kills, but it's all a distraction. Chihuahua to emerge from the smoke, but not victorious. Side swiped and taken down. Korea with it all to do, and it's just not possible. Defuse to come through. That is the pistol round going the way of Heretics.
Yeah, the re-aggression there from Heretics was what completely changed the round. A bold move, to say the least, especially when your opponents have been almost sat in mid for a while, just waiting patiently. Like, playing up against Existence teams is always difficult because, again, he'll completely switch things up over the rounds. But that was the game changer because you look at the setup, they'd walled deep into B. We also had the second wall then put down so that they couldn't rotate through. So I think the only way they win the round is actually by going for that fast flank. So great read from Heretics. They're going to bring that home. And now moving into the second round, I'm not going to say anything. I'm not going to say anything because every time I talk about NiP and pistols, we all know what happens.
Yeah, we do. Headshots galore. Lots of sheriff kills. It's madness. And really, you don't want to count a team like this out. Having said that, with the way that the second rounds have gone in the first and second map, it has been a consistent bundle of kills. Going to map 1, it was 3 kills for each, then 2, then 3. You've got to be very careful. You've got to give them space and respect. And Avova, well, he hadn't learned his lesson. It's dropped right away, up behind in garden, and with that man advantage. But no weapon recovered, at least a small victory. It does also mean Heretics are more likely to keep in this position, right? They're more likely to defend that fallen weapon and not allow an opportunity for NiP to recover. As they... I mean, they're quite spread out, Tom. That's quite a little bit surprising to me, because if you're NiP right now, numbers is really where you can win it. And fast-paced executes is where they found a lot of their success. But this time, they're spreading for map control.
I almost wonder if they're trying to sell this as a fake. Again, this is something that Existence will do quite regularly, using Chihuahua's cages to try and bait people in. This time, he's trying to fake that it's only Rhyme on this side of the map. The problem is, without Rhyme being there, it's not worth the risk anymore to try and push elsewhere. And they've got 20 seconds. Now, no matter what you say about this round, they don't want to be alive at the end unless they've won it.
Absolutely, or unless there's this spike they can dive into if it's the defenders usually. At 10 seconds left, it's time to just go. Just send it, cross over, and try desperately to plant. 5 on the clock as they get to the site. The plant will be gotten. And with JD's kill, it's a 2v2. A winnable situation for sure. Still with Nukier alive, I'll never count them out of a round, that's for sure. Wallbangs coming through. Decent little bit of tickle damage going in. But all it takes is one bullet from these sheriffs, and the round flips on its head. A 2v1 could be in play, and JD forces a fight up close. Rubino quick to connect that kill and leave Korea all by himself. He's got it all to do. He's being swung on and quickly onto Nukier. One bullet, all that he needed, but it can't be connected. Defuse to come through. Heretics, I don't even want to call this a round win. They get another on the board, but having lost 4 players, Tom, it's going to be a pretty tough next round.
Yeah, can we go back to like the very beginning of Valorant and call that one a draw? Like, round draw. Let's put that into play, because realistically, I would almost put that over as a win on the side of NiP. Like, they take down 4 players. They've got themselves a spike plant as well. They've built up a fair few ult orbs as well. Like, normally, that's the benefit of being on Heretics' side, is you're the ones with your ultimates. Well, the only person at the moment with one is Korea, and Akukos and JD are not far behind. 2 very impactful ults if they come through. So this is a scary round for Heretics. The thing is, though, if you go back to the first map, we were saying similar things, and then they just kept winning rounds.
I mean, surprise has been pretty much a keyword for this entire series. If you were to sum it up, that would pretty much do it. The rounds that you count players out of, or buys, investments, you say that can't really get that much damage done, and before you know it, it's a round win for that team that you presumed had lost. I think we're seeing a very similar approach to what we've seen in the pistol round from NiP. They push middle, they wall it off, they try to convince those B players to move, that have moved rather, to move back. But the A aggression has been spotted, marked, and now pushed by Nukier, who gets this aggressive spot all the way up into spawn, but he wasn't ready for them to be there. His crosshair moves as 2 players emerge around the corner. With Avova, you really want a paranoia in this position, but he doesn't have one. The site clear. Do they think that Nukier was the sole player pushing up? Or will they suspect Avova? They're clearing him for now, but they look away at the wrong moment. A free double for him, and he tears that attack to shreds, stopped in their tracks. But a 1v4. Not going to be happening. Not today.
No. Not quite. Yeah, I like the decision making there from Avova. Like, you can almost guess that this is an angle they're unlikely to check. Like, in fact, normally when you have someone going that aggressive, you actually start rotating players to the other side of the map. You don't have a second player then stacking up the same side. That doesn't really make much sense, but they almost use it as bait. Now, one thing I will like, I know that we've had the desk talk a lot about the pick of Reyna. I think the position that, at least in the early stages, we saw Nuki playing, if he can get aggressive around that angle, I think it almost benefits his defensive side to have the ability to not only leer in, but then also to just dismiss back out. And if he can continue to find openers, as he has done throughout the series, this makes things quite a bit more difficult. I also think that one of the big game plans for Heretics so far this game is just take Chihuahua out. Like, get rid of him, get rid of that lurk, because then NiP, I don't want to say they panic, but they have to completely change their game plan.
You know, playing around Chihuahua is somewhere that a lot of value has been found for NiP in the past, so
yeah.
Dealing with him, and in fact, look at his position right now. Obviously, we're in a sheriff round yet again, and what I find very interesting is that NiP's sheriff rounds or their ecos, although we've seen a great amount of damage done in that second with the 4 kills that they found, they're not approaching them in a more conventional way. They're spread out. They take 3 players mid, 1 watching B, 1 watching A pushes. And then even when they finish their default, they don't group up necessarily. They're heavy on fakes, which, as you said, is something Existence likes to do a lot. But it seems like every round now we've had a fake play. And that aggression, that's just netted them a free opening duel, but not a lot of info on where these guys were going.
Yuki playing a little bit of DM, it seems. It's like, okay, no one else can die to the pistols if I just take them all down initially. They're gonna be free of finding one. The peek back in from Pora, though. That's solid. He worked out the bait. Spike gonna be dropped. And well, that's gonna be the round done. A much cleaner round as well. That's something we haven't witnessed too much from Heretics. And the one thing that gets quite exciting for them as a squad is, again, I really don't like bringing up Nuki all the time, but he is probably the most dynamic player on their team. When they have the cash and he brings in an operator, their whole setup changes. They can play him as a rotational player. I will say, though, considering he's the man to normally pick it up and Kriya on the other side, in terms of the percentage of how many rounds you're going to see it, just in general, it's around 6%. So I wouldn't get too excited if you are a Nuki fan, you want to see him using that operator, because chances are, unless they have crazy amounts of cash, it's not going to happen.
Correct me if I'm wrong, Tom. We've only seen it once so far this series, where he picked it up on bind. I don't recall him using it on split at all, which is...
No, I think bind he's a lot more comfortable on anyway, but again, like, the rounds were so back and forth that financially it would have been silly to go for that much of an all-in play.
Yeah, I identify with the bear. He's broken the shelf. Too many cakes. It happens to me all the time. Too many milkshakes, maybe. But yeah, no, like 4-0 for Heretics. They're clocking up rounds, 4 in a row. This is the kind of lead that NiP had in the previous. Then things started to fall apart a little bit. Now that NiP have their own bye, see what they're going to be able to do. It's interesting that, you know, they take such an aggressive stance on A main in this round, and I feel like this is because of the control they gave up previously, right? They allowed for Avova and Nuki to push all the way up and got sideswiped by Avova to close out their buy round. Maybe this is why they're being so proactive, but what they might not have spotted is that although there's been no A main push, they've just gone up short. They've said screw it, and they've gotten Nuki into one of the hardest positions to clear out because it's so infrequently checked if you're pushing up middle, as NiP have loved to do so far.
There's a part of me that almost wonders if they're trying to bait his aggression at this point.
Oh, hello.
Because look at where Chihuahua's holding. He's prepared for it. It's a little bit labored, but he gets the job done. And they send that early utility maybe as a warning sign. Okay, you can take mid now. And this time, Nuki's actually gone down, and they go back to their initial setup. There is, however, still multiple players here, and the Rolling Thunder is going to leave it a little bit awkward, but there's a counter.
Now there's the Killjoy ultimate going down, the counter you're talking about to keep these guys out of position. They're still going to go for the plant by the looks of things with time so low. They don't want to risk utility keeping them out. And that means almost certainly there's the detain. But it can almost serve as a bait sometimes. There's so many players to cover him. JD's not really in any danger, but they have given up complete control of the site. They're going to fight it inside the smokes. There's a res to play with as well if they need it, but it's being diffused. They need to get the shots on, and nobody connects onto Rubino, who just sticks it from the second he gets on. That is a disaster now for NiP, losing out that round. I really thought we would see more of a direct spam focused on the spike, but it seemed like it was anybody's game to just fire some bullets through the smoke and hope for the best.
Yeah, I will say Heretics did well to make it really awkward to try and get back into the site, but this is the power of a lockdown. You forced them all the way back. There was nobody on any avenue, so there's no other angles that need to be cleared, and even though they didn't really need to body block, they could have done. So, yeah, NiP round started well. They did everything right, and now it's completely gone to shreds, and they're just going to change the pace up. Let's try it quickly into B. They've left Chihuahua behind again, but just look at the utility, and even look at the setup. There are 3 players waiting here. A solid read from Heretics once again.
Oh, that spot, it's always dangerous, and this is what they were lacking in the previous round over on the NiP side. Sova to spot a player behind that smoke and see they were still diffusing. You know that Rhyme is stuck up in the corner, but on that angle, it's not really easy to connect the shots onto him, so they decide instead to back off. For Heretics, information is really lacking at this stage, and with Avova going down just as he looks away with his smoke in hand, that leaves Pora all by himself. He uses his utility, his nano swarms, to keep them back, grabs a kill, swings back to default, but takes some damage for his trouble. The swing a bit too wide, but JD and Ryan, they're quick to clean up. 2v4, man advantage is swinging for the attackers, and so are the kills, so are the duels. NiP, they look to have gotten their first round on the board, unless Lowell has got one of those big 1v4s up his sleeve again.
Spike planted.
If he pulls this off, I think NiP just DC. I think you just call it a day. Nice shot to at least get the first, but
away from red.
His heal's not going to get him too far. Yeah, he's not... The thing is, the amount of time it would take him to, or at least hopefully, unless someone on NiP is very aggressive, he would have to get a kill very fast, find someone to res, and then manage to get back into the site. And I just don't think there's a chance for that. You can see them almost baiting him in on the angles. He's just looking to make this as costly as humanly possible. And although he doesn't get too much done, he's earned the res for the next round, which is something that's always going to be impactful. And he's taken another gun with him.
Yeah, great stuff. The damage done is, it could have been better, but a good setup by NiP really denies what could have been a pretty sick clutch based on what we saw before. Round 6, and it's 5-1. Heretics have definitely built the foundations of a good half, and now it just comes down to cementing them even further. I see Nuke and Rubino this time, the ones that are grouped up outside of A main, so I presume some sort of a reveal as Nuke pushes forward and gains a lot of control, but that flash, well, it deters any aggression.
Oh, that is awkward, Korea! He just goes running around the corner, not expecting anyone to be there, and Nuki, he's so well placed to just do damage again and again! 3 kills for him, but he's matched by JD. A 2v2 scenario, time been given for the rotation, and everybody's been worked out, Mitch. There's a good chance for both teams, and the res will come through.
The wall broken, but up goes an ice wall to peek through afterwards. JD is snuck into a great position after resing Akuko's. Oh, he knew exactly what he was doing. A 4K for him, shredding that attack, or defense rather. And I have to say, I love the approach here from NiP. When they push into the site, they're ready to take fights. The confidence there, knowing that they have that res in the back pocket. They lose a lot of players to Nuke, but the response is quick. I don't know about this first push, though. I don't know what kind of read Korea had there, but it was the wrong one.
I think it might more be down to just the setup that we've seen previously. Like, Nuki's all over the map, so at different times, if you're going to be trying to predict every single thing he does, it's just not going to be possible. But yeah, they definitely get caught. Again, we're going to see an adaptation, and I genuinely think at this point, like, NiP are just trying to condition Team Heretics into thinking they're going to go every round. What? An aftershock kill? Like, there was no pressure there.
Yeah.
I don't know how Lowell died.
At a guess, he walked backwards into it, not realizing it was there with very poor timing. That's the best I can do. Anything shy of that, and I'm
It's a very quiet
confused.
ability, you know.
Oh yeah, absolutely. You'd never hear it. You have to be inside it to hear it. Really. Oh, it's OP. We need to buff that. Not that they recently did. You know, it now reaches through half the map. You're gonna have a teleport into B, but this is actually a bit of a disaster in timing, because Avova does that as a bit of a recon dart, right? He knows that B main is clear, but he was actually 10 seconds too early. Now NiP, they're walking over towards the B site. They're about to push on through B main, and the response from Heretics after seeing it was clear was to 4-man stack the A side of the map with just Pora watching mid.
Yeah, you definitely can't blame them for this call. Everything points to a fact that this is going to be an A hit, especially after the last couple of rounds, rotating back in that direction, a fast play to push into that site. Now, we're going to see Pora do his best to try and deny this, but with already control taken towards Boathouse, I think this just has to be a save.
10 seconds left.
I mean, it's a tough call. It really is. They could risk it, but with a Rolling Thunder and a Hunter's Fury, I don't know that you want to. Although they've already managed to bait out a Rolling Thunder, which is more than worthwhile. NiP being a bit overzealous with that one. At this point, you should be able to safely say they're not going for it, but I see them grouped up. I see them looking for fights. This is kind of insane, to be honest. The clock is heavily against them. Man advantages are gone. Hunter's Fury can be set up to delay the defuse, and indeed, they eventually realize that this round is definitely gone. They get nothing for it, no damage to the NiP economy, and they lose 2 weapons. So this is altogether a fairly negative round. The one upside is that at least they made that Rolling Thunder. They made it, force the investment of it, rather.
Yeah, it's a bonus, at least. I think for NiP, it's more of a case of we want to take this round and we want to take it cleanly. Make sure that our economy is set for the future, especially with the manner in which Existence likes to play his attacks. Like, you have to look at it and go, he wants extra utility. He wants enough that they can throw in these cheeky little fakes and then go all the way back. And as said, like, he's going to try and get in your head to the point where you believe he's going one direction, and in fact, it's a completely different idea. In fact, some of the matches watched previously, he would even just try and hit the same site twice just to bait people. Now this, again, complete change of pace. We've seen them pressure A for a lot of the last few rounds. So this round, Mitch, of course, they're going to pressure into B.
And for NiP, they have 3 players on max money after this round as well, like 7.5 or above. Oh, 4 players spotted. Hello, Hunter's Fury. So many players tagged on up. Rubino gets one, Nuke with another, but the return is there. Prime grabs himself a kill. He's going to look for a little bit more in towards B main, knowing that these guys are pushing forward. Shock darts come into play, but don't connect anything. With Heretics on the man advantage and with the better weapons, they're the ones that are that should be kind of controlling the pace of this round now. It's only the judge that is a disadvantage for Avova. And in the position he's holding, it could come back to bite him, actually. He decides to push into A main, which I think is the right call. Look at the control. Look at where Chihuahua is.
Yeah, that's the problem. There's now there's a lurk and a second lurk, because you've got a player pushing in the form of JD to try and take some control further, and then a player moving into CT. However, someone has eyes in the back of their head, because it was worked out by Rubino. Just goes, okay, you know what? I'm just going to check spawn just in case. And Chihuahua's like, dude, seriously? The 1 second you can actually spot me, you're going to peek straight in? They even go for an economy res as well, just to make sure that Nuki will have everything into the next round. So Heretics, they've taken their sick. They've taken it in relatively clean fashion as well. Great Hunter's Fury coming out from Rubino to do some extra damage. I do believe that we saw an awful lot of ults used in that round, though. So maybe a bit of a cheese round for Heretics. Like, okay, we're going to throw in the Empress. We're going to throw in the Hunter's Fury and a res. Like, they're the main ults you're going to be using on this defensive side.
What's quite surprising, Avova didn't manage to grab himself an upgrade, so he was actually left with a judge. And I believe he's dropped that on the floor now to play primarily around the Phantom. Altogether, though, the economy looking a bit healthier for Heretics, and Nuke on middle again and again. We should just spectate this guy at the start of every round. It seems like he is so happy to take these early fights, and it's something I would say it's far more aggressive than any Reyna I've seen before, but it's controlled, right? 1 kill and back. It's not just W keying. And I would compare it to a jet op, possibly even further. There's the judge on the ground in front of Avova, and there could be some situations in which he picks it back up, but for the most part, it will be the Phantom that he uses as he pushes on forward to try and cut this off. I don't know what Rubino was thinking on that one, but that plan was certainly not the right one. Dropped in the open, and so too is Nuke. Players falling one after another. Heretics have to make a big clutch comeback here, and Pora, interesting swarm grenade because there's a wall there. Maybe he thinks someone's on top of it. We'll start to move forward with this ultimate just to secure the site, and now it's all about sticking it. That swarm still allows them to peek up behind it. It just stops them from pushing on through. He has a tight angle, but now the smoke fades, and he needs all of these kills. No chance. Not in a million years. JD shuts him down. Another round for NiP.
Yeah, that was one of those retakes that I think Heretics are just going to want to forget. Like, we saw, it was completely disjointed. Like, you had Rubino peak, then a few moments later you had Nuki peak. I can't remember who the third player was, but then also solo peaked. And sure, the 2 players at the end, they try and play it together, but at that point, it's too little too late. Especially when you have a lockdown. Like, I feel like you should be waiting until that's used.
100%. 100%, Tom. You've got to make that call. I've got lockdown. Let's play around it. Instead, player... Now, Rubino in the first place, he got pushed out. He had utility coming his way. I understand it. But Nuke wanting to swing and trade even after he was dead, I don't know. Seems like overcommitment when you can play that ult and try to stick the defuse afterwards. All they needed was extra players. Nuke's just going for the heal. Pops a Leer. Not a chance, though. Kukos is in this time to take him out. The wall up, but there's no chance for a res. It's not possible. Not even close, only 2 points up on the board. And so that's a valuable kill for NiP right away.
gonna start breaking the wall. You can already see with the surrenderment of mid that Rubino's going to be watching to make sure that no one's gone in that direction, but it's far more patient from NiP this round. Of course, they always have their classic luck on the other side of the map, just waiting. The battle of Killjoy versus Cypher will ensue once again. That paranoia is spot on, though. It may not garner a kill, but it's forced Lao away and actually pulled back one more player. And you can see Akukos is going to try and move off this. Watching into mid, being wary to make sure that there's no aggression elsewhere. The only real worry at this point is the time. 30 seconds left. If they want to go for a rotation back to A, they have to make it now. Otherwise, it looks like it'll be flat out B.
I think you're pretty bottlenecked with that low time and it just pushing the B side. He gets stunned on the way out, which is a bit unfortunate as Rubino wants to take the fight up close and somehow capitalizes a double. The swing not quite connecting, but around the smoke, Lao's good for one to spray down for more. And Heretics, they get on the board, trading back and forth. NiP, they're not getting away with a streak of rounds. Not just yet. Now 7-4, a 3-round lead, and we could be looking at 8 rounds for Heretics as we come out of this half.
Yeah, I've spoken a lot about conditioning, like how it seems like Existence tries to get players to almost hold in certain positions and push at certain times. I think they were so convinced that someone was going to go hunting for information that they ran out of time. Like, it looked like they were peeking back into mid, like, still had a late lurk. They were like, okay, someone's got to push eventually, and Heretics just went, lads, you know what, this round, let's just wait. Let's just hold. And then it just looked a bit dodgy towards the end. Now, again, they're going to take the battle versus Nuki, but this time it's fine. They have a res.
They do indeed, and this is where you can play that little bit looser, take those opening fights as you wish, and a very valuable death. With Heretics losing Nuki, it's a lot of their puggy ability, it's their flashes for the most part gone out of this round, and with the players spotted close, Ryan doesn't get any more information to play around, but he's selling a fake, peddling snake oil. It's not an A hit, they're moving instead towards the B site, which now is wide open for business. Only Killjoy utility covering that push, and there we go, little ult point for the Rolling Thunder, tucked in the corner. It's the faker of Rhyme, and with him dropped, Lal has a good idea that, well, A is all his. They rotate players back into the B side, but NiP, they're selling double, triple, quadruple fakes. They're coming back towards A to look for this fight.
And Lao used the wall to actually bait them out to get that pick, but now it is going to be that thing of like, okay, well, he was isolated. The only reason he'd make that play is if other players have rotated. The problem now is that I think the defense have a read. They have an idea that's coming back in this direction, but they're so reliant on Lao to at least get something done. He peeks in. I thought for a second he might get 2, and the wall is actually going to deny of over much more. He breaks it, but runs out of ammo before he can take anyone with him.
A tough retake, you know, earlier in this round we saw Pora tank an Aftershock, so he's down on 33 HP, alarm bot on site, he's going out wide with utility in hand, very lucky to still be alive. Korea takes him down, good info for Avova to play off of, the head spotted, connected through the wall, Classic comes out, he's not quite that low, but eventually falls, and with JD all alone, he only has Avova to contend with, knows exactly where he is, and he snuck his way around the generator, caught off by the angle, but JD always one for the spray. Connects a 5th now for NiP. That is the half ending with just a 2-round lead for Heretics. Considering this started 5-0, I think NiP have made a pretty good recovery.
Yeah, definitely not bad. I think it's the same as when you watch FPX. Sometimes it takes a little bit of time to work out the plays that are being made, and I think towards the end of it especially, they started to do well to counter Nuki. Like, I think you can take that. Okay, 1-for-1 trade, that's fine, especially in this round, for example, where they had the res. JD also just having a fantastic performance, and it's so much more beneficial. Like, we see the same on Zipan. Like, when he plays Sage, you can expect him to get a lot of kills. That means you get an extra res or 2, and that's so valuable. We've seen it even in the final round. Like, having that res makes a huge amount of difference.
The essential head-to-head of JD and Nuki that we saw as well in round 7, where Nuki found the 3k, but JD one-upped him and took 4, and then winning out that 1v2 for a 3k in the final round. You know, really, I would argue that at this point, NiP would be down. They'd have 3 rounds if it wasn't for JD in those 2 massive moments alone. So he has really been a godsend for this team. And the pistol, straight away control of middle goes to Heretics, but that wall will slow them down quite a bit.
Yeah, the Sage Wall in these sort of rounds is just annoying. Like, it takes so long, you don't want to be wasting your ghost bullets, you don't have a massive amount, so a lot of the time it's just going to be down to the knives. Very aggressive stance, and the paranoia actually only gets one of the players. So JD takes the pick onto Avova, the re-aggression will come through, but they're out of there, they're gone. And that's going to be a problem, especially with the way that the wall was set up on shore. It's difficult to get past it without breaking the majority, so they knew that they were still safe from any other angle.
Fight from Rhyme. Does it all the time. He sees 3, but it's about time to just fall on back and wait for his teammates. The retake that they want to attempt will be without JD. Was caught unaware and flanked out from Garden. At this point, you know, the extra manpower that they've got allows Heretics to make this bit of a move. When it's a 4v4, you know NiP are going to be slow pushing in. You know that door is down on a pistol. They've got plenty of time, and Lal's the one that's making that work. There's nobody watching their 6 right now. This is allowing the sneaky, beaky cloak and dagger play from Lal. He gets up behind and picks up the kill. Heaven Control goes towards NiP. Or towards Heretics, sorry, as NiP come back out to retake it. And Chihuahua falls. This is a bit of a disaster, a catastrophe of a pistol round, one that they desperately wanted and probably needed. NiP now 3 behind, facing into an eco.
Perfect flank. Couldn't have been any better. The second he gets even 1 kill, the rest of the round for NiP has to be killing him. Like, you can't allow him to survive. You won't stand a chance in getting the defusal. So perfect flank, decent round for them in general, especially considering how it started. Like, went quite well for NiP to find that opening pick. Now, though, we're at the same place once again. We've got ourselves a few pistols invested. Chihuahua, come on. Come on. Where's the sheriff? I'm not okay with this. Why? Like, don't get me wrong, JD has been fantastic. But if you're asking me who I want to have a sheriff, it has to be Chihuahua.
Yeah, really, the amount he's had the clips and the highlights, he's been out there already a couple of times in this game. I think the only player that takes the cake over him is Nukia. What we saw from him on Bind with the Sheriff was something I don't ever wish to see again. It was filthy, but beautiful. Nukia coming out wide, takes Rhyme, dismiss, and that's the beautiful thing about the dismiss in that scenario. They're shooting at you, and you're not taking any damage while your teammates sort of trade you without you even having to die. It's perfect. It's the perfect distraction play, and as it comes in, and as well, even further, because it's like you're facing against a Sheriff or some classics, it's not as easy to spray transfer when you realize this guy's dismissed. Really, you're looking at your first bullet with these kind of weapons on range, and after that, you're in dire straits. Nice charge up by Nuki in this round. I mean, we don't expect anything from NiP, let's be very frank about that. They get 1 kill, it's mediocre. But Nuki's now got his ult and a Spectre, so that makes this weapon so valuable versus a full buy.
Yeah, this is where basically Nuki's going to look to try and just carry them through this bonus round. And he is the sort of player that will be able to do it. Now, normally you'd see him more in a sort of lurk role. Like the control they like to take into mid in their buy rounds is something that I genuinely think NiP are going to struggle with. Because when we watch them versus Ascend, a lot of opening picks went against them. Players got caught out by the aggression of Ascend. Like, you have players like CNED just basically going up for these sort of aggro peaks that we see from him. Obviously with the backup of his team. But they also abandoned mid a lot. Now, on the other side of the coin, Heretics love to take mid control. A round like this, I don't expect to see it so much, but that's mainly because of the weaponry they have.
We just had a tactical pause, of course, and coming into this round, it's very important. If you're staring down the barrel that NiP are, you need to win it, without a doubt. This is for a playoff spot. This is to not go down to the lower bracket, to face a team that previously we've seen them struggle against. NiP want to get on the board here and not allow Heretics to run away with it, but a 1-for-1 trade, that's exactly what the attackers want when they've got these weak weapons.
Yeah, Nuki didn't even pop the Empress either, so our whole point of how he was going to play this round just gone completely out the window. Sometimes caster equals stupid, but it's alright. We got fantastic analysts to break things down afterwards. They'll tell you all the information that we, of course, missed. And now, the aggression coming out again. This is a bit of a risky push, especially considering the round. Trades here for the attack will be absolutely fine, but they don't expect Chihuahua. He's the knife in the back, the lurker in the darkness. And they have no choice but to give up this control. They don't want to face him at this point. It does leave 1 defender on B. In fact, it leaves no defenders on B. Maybe a bit of a misread here. The timing does at least work out. Ryan will be in position, but he's having to look between two spots, and I do wonder if Rubino might catch a cheeky timing here.
He might do.
30
He's
seconds
already
left.
out, already holding the angle. And as Rhyme comes back in, it's a wall that goes up in his face. They get over towards watching this alley push out. They should be ready for it, and not quite, actually. Not ready to take the fight. Instead, focusing on the site. A plan to come in. A 2v3 retake. NiP have the advantages. Everything is lined up for them to take this round. Utility not there. All they have is a recon arrow to work with. No flashes, which would be perfect. That recon gets a reveal. They know there's a player behind the site, and Chihuahua hits it quickly. It's all down to Rubino, and he runs out of ammo. A 3K for Chihuahua, a cleanup for NiP, and a round needed secured.
Yeah, that was a necessity. Like, we go into that talking about how I think it was 4 Spectres and a pistol. So this was not a proper investment for Heretics. They took a bit of a risk, and in a 2v3, they could have got a lot more. But what they've done is still enough. NiP are not out of the woods just yet, because there's going to be a buy coming back up. The Empress is still available. Laul as well is only 2 points away from getting a res, so this next round could get pretty rough for them. And sure, JD as well is only 1 away from a res, so let's not just highlight the point, but I feel like this is a round again that NiP need to win. Otherwise, financially, they're going to be in a little bit of a rough spot, and more importantly, Heretics will be on 10 rounds and close to sending them into the lower bracket.
Oh, this goes here.
You said a couple of players close to the full umbrella. Once they get that ultimate online, changes the game completely. I mean, the confidence that you can give somebody, especially when it's Heretics that have a res online. Ooh, I don't want to be messing with Nuki when he knows he can get revived on the attack side as well. That space taking is going to be huge. Speaking of taking space, look at where Heretics are going. They're waltzing up towards Garden and taking the fight right away, pushing that player back, forcing paranoia usage, smoke usage. That's a lot of utility gone for Heretics, or for NiP, sorry, now that they need to defend this A site. At least there's 3 players in heaven, but that might not be the case for long. Chihuahua caught on the cross. Man advantage for the attackers, and site control is pretty firmly theirs.
That's your anchor gone as well, and JD, well, he's got his res. Unfortunately, he can't bring himself back, and this is what Nuki is known for. This is what he's renowned for on this map. The late lurk through mid. I want to point out, while we have a moment, that they actually were prepared for that. And the way that I know that is they had a cam set up in mid, but remind us, Mitch, who was the first man to die in this round?
It was, of course, Chihuahua. We saw him jumping out in heaven and dying on the cross. Unlucky. I mean, you plan it around that camera, and then the player that's in the most compromised position after the initial fight on short is the one that needs to watch the flank. Ugh. Doesn't work out too well most of the time, Tom.
Yeah, it's one of those things where obviously Nuki's going to be very reliant on the rest of his team in a lot of these rounds if he's going to continue to play like that. Luckily, there are plenty of players that when it comes to quote-unquote entry fragging on this team can do it very well, and this man is definitely one of them. JD, he's got his trusty pistol, but this time Laul gets the better of him.
Shock darts over. Laul avoids being even traded on HP. Pretty full for the most part. NiP staring down the barrel of a gun. Weak weapons, full buy in the next, and that's their last chance to really make anything happen. If not, they'll be going to the lower bracket. 3 more rounds for Heretics, and that'll be the case. In this round, likelihood of getting anything done is, again, extremely low. I do find it odd that the player with the Marshal is the one with armor. It's rare that that'll happen. Is on a Sheriff, especially on a Ghost, you can get much more value from having that armor and being able to stay alive that little bit longer than you will on a Marshal, where when you fired your shot, you're probably dead if you've missed it.
Yeah, this execute's just going to be rough, I reckon. Like, they're going to know exactly where that remaining player is. Like, you do not put a lockdown into spot without knowing that that position is still compromised. So, plenty of utility used to just make sure they clear Chihuahua. Great execution from Heretics. Of course, this sort of round, it's been risky for them so far. Like, we've even witnessed them lose a few, even towards the latter stages of Bind. They lost a round like this, and it eventually caused their demise. So I like the fact that they're being thorough, being careful, and sure, you don't really want to be using your lockdown just to confirm, like, anti-eco rounds, but even still, like, to make sure that they don't lose anything here, that's fine by me.
I do think it's one of the... Oh, no, guys. Heaven's open and no one's watching it. That's a weapon lost for no reason when they've already committed so much. You know, you'd rather not see it. One thing I will say, lockdown usage versus an eco, I actually kind of love it. Considering what they have about to come online, like Sova's just 2 away from Hunter's Fury. They already have a res. They already have Empress. They have the money to drop over a weapon as well, which I guess is maybe a little bit of a counter to the point. But the thing is, when you're in a position like that, you could be running into 2 to 3 players stuck on corners, playing in the back of A site. There could be so many different things. And all it takes, and we've seen it in this series, all it takes is one sheriff, one ghost, who's got that angle you're not expecting, and there's a 3K already. So the fact that they committed when they have so much about to come online, there are better uses for it, sure, but it's very responsible in such an important round.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I can agree with that. Kriya, as we said, op usage, both of these teams, I think he buys it slightly more than you might see it from Nuki, but that might just be down to the amount of maps they've actually played throughout the tournament. It genuinely could be. We haven't seen a whole lot of Heretics, mainly because of how they managed to get through. But we'll see if it can change the dynamic, especially with the current scoreline. They really need Kriya to have a step up. Now, they've got deep beat control. They've got a wall down. They've got a lot of information that there's nobody on that side of the map. But the pace of Heretics is going to make this awkward. They're not going to rotate in time.
Nuki is about to take a fight, and indeed he does. Kriya traded out a second for him as he proceeds to under heaven. Lal pops a res, and Nukia, caught by that, but not pushed up into the air. That's huge. Even destroys that recon dart. Now playing from down below, but Avova from afar. That's the round secured. 12 on the board. Heretics are looking unstoppable. Nothing can get in their way. And NiP, they now need 6 rounds in a row, or they will be going down to the lower bracket. This is a tough time to be a Ninjas fan.
Yeah, and the thing is, in that round, NiP actually did a pretty decent job of getting info. They deny any control of the B site. It's just the change of pace from Heretics. Like, before we've seen them probing into mid, they've taken battles to try and isolate players. This time they go, right guys, flat out push in towards the A site. And one of the things I really want to give credit for, we talk a lot about Existence Akuko's as the in-game leader, as someone we know from Counter-Strike as a legendary IGL. Lau has picked up the mantle of IGL for this Heretics team. And let's be real, his calls have been solid throughout this map.
100%. You got to give props. And I think when you're looking at Heretics with such a... I mean, I don't want to say like young roster, but in the roles that they're in, it's so quickly shifting. The definition of what Heretics are, how they'll play, map to map, their lineup even changes, and yet they're still able to have this level of organization and efficiency. It's a beautiful thing to watch Heretics. They came out of left field at first strike for most of us, and they haven't gone anywhere since. They're NiP. They're not the team you want to be facing, but they're the one you've got. As they look for 6 consecutive rounds, burning everything. They're investing as much as they possibly can, getting information, but nothing is to be bought. Heretics have heavy mid control, and Pora picks up the first. That's a Kuko's down. Flash is gone. No Rolling Thunder, at least. He lost, but they've even spotted Chihuahua in the corner. He is screwed. There's players swinging on him absolutely everywhere, and this is a catastrophe for NiP. They've lost the A site. The plant is coming in, and all that remains are 2 Spectres to try and do something to this flawless attack from Heretics.
No chance. Absolutely none. They're already getting picked apart. Okay, there'll at least be an extra kill for Rhyme, but Rabino will put the final nail in the coffin. You know, we went into this one and some people definitely doubted whether or not Heretics would be able to take this over, Mitch. But of course, not me and Lothar.